Wizards, it is Dev from the place, and it's time to look at some Marvel cards. Every single one of them here live on the twitch.tv/SPEEDRUN, all in lowercase. If you want to be here, you can be here for the next one. Next one will be The Hobbit. You want to be here for that one, probably, maybe more. I don't know, maybe you're a Marvel fanatic, in which case, thanks for coming. I appreciate you. You're here for the next couple hours, at least, as we look through every single card in this set, and rate it. That's to see, the word rate was coming up, so my mind did a thing because it's already in speedrun mode, baby. We're going. Today we are trying to get through all these cards as quickly as possible and assign a number score from 1 to 10, sometimes even 0 to 10, to some of these cards. As I often explain, a 4 can be niche playable in some commander decks casually and stuff like that. And once you get past a 5, pretty playable Magic card. So if I say a card's a 6.5 or a 7, I have a lot of faith in it. So you'll hardly ever see a 10 because these are standard legal sets we review, and they just really don't release. They don't release 10s in standard sets. So with all that said, let's take a sip of the potion and then dive into the ocean. Marvel superheroes, baby. Let's get into some lotion. let's take an actual sip of the coffee here, so we can get our mind right. And then start the timer. Abomination Terrifying Titan is 4 mana, 3 and a Gruul hybrid. He's a 4/4 trample with power up for 7 dang mana. He just gets a +1/+1 counter. Fight something. Limited playable. I do kind of like cards like this, and there's a lot of them in this set where you're like, big man in limited. Let's just, sure, he fights something. That's a removal spell on a fat man. Sure, let's play that guy. So I will give this a 3.6. Pretty normal score to start things off. But Absorbing Man is not a normal card. This is Simic, 1 green-blue for a 4/4 legendary human villain that has vigilance. And at the beginning of your first main until your next turn, this guy becomes a copy of up to 1 target artifact, a non-aura enchantment, or a land, except his name is Absorbing Man. He's a legendary 4/4 human villain in addition to his other types. And he has vigilance. I've read this one out completely instead of casually so that I can ask chat, what do you think? Second card of the night, and I'm already relying on you. Rate this card for me. I've never asked you so fast, but I'm interested in what other people think about this guy. You got yourself a 3 mana 4/4 vigilance, just to break it down for you. Those aren't bad stats to begin with. He even gets keyword ability, and he becomes a copy of anything. Anything. That means that he's kind of a guy that can ramp you and that he can become a land. That's not too bad. So on your next turn, he effectively ramps you sometimes. Copying enchantments could be good. Copying artifacts could be good and all that stuff. He's always going to be a creature, so he can swing, yada, yada. So how do we feel about this guy? Standard playable, commander playable, and some tricksy stuff. Let's look over to my right. Paper Towel Man, exactly. This guy v. Bounty Man, who would win? I'm not actually sure, although I guess he could. Well, no, he can't become Bounty Man. Bounty Man's not an artifact, non-aura, enchantment, or land. But in any case, we got a 6.2, a 4.2, a 6. Feels like you can break stuff with him. He's got a 6.3-ish, a 5, a 4.9. That's good. 5.1, 6.5. Got a 5.5. Copying a land in Simic, 5.5. Yeah, I think this has just enough potential standard playability on it. We already have a lot of 3 mana things that effectively just put a land into play. They're just sometimes pretty playable, you know? That said, very few of them have these stats right off the rip, and very few of them have the ability to just copy, like, you know, a Lumbering World Wagon that did the same thing, or some other enchantment, right? Like a Earthbender Ascension, but it's also a 4/4 that gets the counters and whatever, right? So there are things this can do, and I'm kind of into them. And once we get to Commander, I think the sky's the limit, baby. We're absorbing all kinds of wild tech. So, yeah, I like this dude. I will give him a 5.75. I think he's all right. But Aerial Doombot is up next. Thank you, chat, for a 1 mana, single blue mana, for a 1/1 artifact creature that flies. You power him up for 6 mana, and he gets 3 +1/+1 counters. So, it's all right. In limited, I guess. You know, you don't mind a 1 mana 1/1 flyer. There's some benefit for having artifacts in the set. And mainly, this is kind of a 6 mana air elemental. 1 mana more than you usually pay for an air elemental. And the reason I point out air elemental is that air elementals win games of limited, we used to say, and I think it still rings fairly true. 4 power flyer is always going to be decent, so this can be both things. You know, early guy you do stuff with or get some sort of benefit from. Late guy you win the game with. Let's kind of go. So I don't mind him at all. 3.5. Kind of like him. Agent 13, Sharon Carter, 3 mana for a 3/2 legendary thing. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, investigate. This is one of the weaker payoffs for attacking alone. In this set, we're trying to bring back exalted a little bit with this set. So some Commander players are going to be happy, especially Squall players that have been playing that deck since FF came out about this time last year. But this thing's just kind of okay. 3.6, you know, same neighborhood as the last card. Agent Maria Hill is a single mana for a 2/1 human spy hero. Whenever Agent Maria Hill becomes tapped to pay a teamwork cost, put a +1/+1 counter on or draw a card. Pretty sick one drop for limited that might actually draw you 2-3 cards over the course of a game if you have enough teamwork stuff. And there's enough teamwork stuff at like the lower rarities that I don't think it's unheard of for this to get you a couple of cards in a game. And then once it does get you a couple cards, you know, 3, 4, 5 power even depending. So not too bad on a one drop, man. 4 at least for Maria Hill. I don't think it's that bad. At least 4. Well, let's go a little higher. 4.3 on Maria Hill. But I do think that it's a pretty parasitic card. Not a whole lot has teamwork. And there's definitely not a whole lot of cards with teamwork that you want to play like in your Commander or even standard deck. There's a few. I don't know if they're enough to make this card worth playing there. Agent of Atlas is 2 mana, 1 and a white for a 2/2 human spy hero with prowess. That's all it does. That's the whole card. 3. It's not terrible. It's really not. Agent Phil Coulson is 2 mana, 1 and a white for a 2/2 legendary human spy hero with vigilance. 2 mana, 2/2 vigilance. I should probably shorthand it that way more often when I do these. You tap him to put a +1/+1 counter on each other hero you control. Another thing that's kind of parasitic to this set. There's not a whole lot of heroes in other sets aside from the Spider-Man set necessarily. I guess maybe the Turtles set. So you be parasitic kind of card here, but still I'm not too like excited about it, but it's not a bad card. I'll give it a solid 4.1. Agents of Hydra is 2 mana for a 1/1. When it dies, you get a 2/1. It's got menace too, so it's one of these, you know, Doom Dissenter style creature, and those are always solid. I give it a 3.8. Agents of Shield is 3 mana for a 2/4. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, that thing gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Again, not a great payoff for attacking alone, but if you're going to do attacking alone in limited, then you need these kind of low rarity payoffs that stack up. So, 3. Again, like right out of 3. You'll play it sometimes. AIM Labs is one of these dual lands that enters tap, gains a life. This is the 3rd or 4th time we've seen this cycle, but in limited, you do want to play these. These are really good in limited, it turns out, but they also kind of gum up limited in draft. They're usually the last like 2 cards in a pack some of the time. At least the last 1 card in a pack. So again, they gum up draft slightly, but they are needed to do some of the things I think they want you to do in this environment. So I always give these like a 4.5 when I see them. They're not that bad. AIM Scientist is 4 mana. I should probably be harder on them than that, but AIM Scientist is 4 mana for a 3/3. When it enters, it connives and it basic lion cycles for 2. I'm going to give this a 3.5 as well. I think this is just a normal, somewhat playable limited card. AIM Synthoids is 2 mana for a 1/3 robot villain artifact creature. When it enters, surveil 2. Again, like somewhat playable and limited. I like the enters ability on this in a format like limited, especially since there are some things in that environment that want you to like have 2 guys in your yard, right? That's sort of a theme. So this helps you do that. It's not so bad. Some reanimation in this environment too, so not terrible. Any deck can play it. I kind of like it. 3.65, sure. Alien Invasion. We come to a rare here. This one's not too bad. This is 4 mana, 1 double red green for an enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you get a 1/1 red alien creature token with haste, and this creature, or this token, attacks each combat if able. Put a +1/+1 counter on it for each invasion counter on this enchantment. Then put an invasion counter on this enchantment. So that's really neat. I called this kind of an Assemble the Legion, I want to say, during preview season. And I'll stick by that. Assemble the Legion goes wide. This goes tall eventually. Not so bad. And you don't even have to like sack the token or whatever you would normally have to do on a red enchantment like this. You can keep the token if it survives combat. Pretty sick. And by the time it's a 4/4, it's more likely to survive combat. So the next turn you're swinging with that and the 5/5 you get. Next turn the 5/5, the 4/4, and the 6/6 you get. So pretty cool. And I actually think this could be a decent, like, bear with me, like, teamer control finisher in some ways, right? Again, don't completely quote me on that, but I would love to copy this with Doppelgang or something like that and go absolutely nuts. So fun looking card, and I do think it could do some stuff in Commander before it's all said and done, and that matters to me. I really want to play it in Commander and like Bellow Bard of Brambles and just a couple of other decks. You know, you don't usually get these kind of almost control pieces that help you get around sweepers and stuff like that. And just that will be important for some decks. So I like it. I'm going to give this like a 5.5 something. Hadn't really thought about it. I'm going to give this a 5.6. I think it's pretty decent. I really do, man. I like it. But either way, we got Ant-Man, Colony Commander. I like this thing too, man. This is 3 mana, 1 green blue for a 2/2. When it attacks, you can pay 1 mana. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Whenever you put a +1/+1 counter on any creature, create a 1/1 green insect creature token once a turn. So once a turn kind of sucks, right? But I think this is a really, really fun looking commander, not just in Big Commander. I think it's good there, but also in a Pauper Commander, this can be your commander, right? And you just play commons that put +1/+1 counter on things and things that benefit insects or common insects that are cool, Caustic Caterpillar and stuff like that. And you have a good time in Pauper Commander. But again, once we get to Big Commander, I think you're doing a lot of fun stuff with this too. On a relative budget, like sure, you can spend a lot of money on a +1/+1 counter deck, buying Ozoliths and stuff like that, or $50, but you can also build a pretty serviceable +1/+1 counter deck for pretty cheap, and suddenly you're just, scoot swarming. That seems okay. And you can put counters on stuff on your opponent's turn and get more guys. I really like this. It's a lot of fun. So I don't think it's powerful necessarily, but I'm still going to give it the, cool commander tax and throw a 5.37 on it. That's a weird score, but I don't think it's a great Magic card. I just think it's a fun one. I really do. But on my standard brawl shortlist, yes, I could see that. Ant-Man's Armies, 3 mana for a 3/2 insect. When it enters, you get a food or treasure token. So, I don't know. I like 3 mana dudes that put a treasure token into play, but they're not great. I'll just give this a 3.6. I can't hate them. Arc Reactor is 5 mana for an artifact, but then provides it enters tapped. Tap it for 3 mana. So, kind of a Thran Dynamo here. That costs more than Thran Dynamo, see, but not if you're doing it right. The problem is that it enters tapped. Thran Dynamo never enters tapped. It always taps for 3/4 of what you paid for it. That's awesome. So, but I guess in a deck where you play Thran Dynamo, you still might play Arc Reactor, especially if you have an artifact theme going on, or you're just ramping to Eldrazi or whatever you're doing. This goes in. So fine card. I don't think that it's necessarily standard playable, especially in current standard. Not a whole lot of artifact stuff going on, but there could be. There's a lot of artifact payoffs in standard right now, but no real artifact deck as of yet. If there is, maybe, just maybe, especially if there's enough artifact tokens floating around, we could make it work. But ultimately, I see something like this and I think, okay, this costs 2/3 mana, taps for 3. That ain't too bad. It's not Gilded Lotus, right? Where it's always going to cost 5 mana. It costs free. Sometimes it's free. It's amazing. So I like it a good bit. I'm going to actually throw a 6 on this. I'm going to throw a 6 on this, and we'll see where it goes from there. I think it's a decent rock. Ares, God of War, 3 mana, 1 black-red for a 4/3 legendary god warrior villain that attacks each combat if able whenever an attacking creature you control dies. Return that card to its hand. That's really neat. Someone said in the comments section that there is a, brief window in combat where creatures have dealt damage. But it's still combat. And if that is true, then obviously you can sacrifice the creatures or something. After they deal damage, which is wild. Is that true? Is that wild? Is that because big if true? And then they pop back to your hand or whatever, but just over the normal course of events. Attacking creatures you control probably die a good bit. They can be small guys with death touch, or they can just be little guys in an aristocrats deck or something that you don't mind dying. They pop back to your hand, you play them again, they die the next turn, you block with them or whatever it is. So I think this is pretty gross. If it dies in combat, obviously it pops back to your hand too. It includes itself and its ability. And that's really fun. Both, for the 99 of Judith decks and other decks that include Mayhem Devil and stuff like that. But ultimately, maybe standard. Maybe. It's doubtful. But this is kind of card where the ability is so cool and a little bit annoying that it could actually be playable at this mana cost. It's not so bad. So I'm going to give Ares a... It's true. People in chat telling me that does in fact happen. So that's adorable. Very, very cute. But I'm going to give this a 6.1. Again, I think 99 ability and commander ability for that matter, sitting in the chair, probably shoots this thing score up a little bit higher. But again, I think there's some very slight standard potential on this. So 6.1-ish. Armor Wars is up next, and apparently you can't read it in chat. I'm so sorry about that. This is 4 mana, 2 blue-red for a Saga. On Chapter 1, you can draw a card for each artifact you control. If you do, each opponent also draws a card for some reason. No reason. On Chapter, probably flavor. On Chapter 2, artifact spells you control cast 1 less to cast this turn. Okay. And then on Chapter 3, this Saga deals X damage to target opponent, X being the greatest mana value among artifacts you control. So that does an awful lot of things. Without being good, I don't know. I'm not too sure. On turn 4 in Standard, you might be able to draw 3 off of this. It's not bad. Next turn, if it's still out, you get a lot of cost reduction on the cards you just drew, and then eventually it can only hit face, but, you know, probably hits for 4 or something, 5, whatever. That's not bad if it's in play to do that, but ultimately I'm not sure that this isn't like too slow and dependent on other artifacts, and if the artifact deck is even good, I'm not sure it plays this. I think that it probably keeps its curve really low and plays like Pinnacle Emissary and a bunch of little guys, Ravenous Robots or whatever. And it's looking for cheap artifacts or zero cost artifacts even to set that deck off. I'm not sure this is the kind of card that does, but maybe it is the kind of card that keeps that deck in the game, gives it gas. Right, could be good, gives it the reach to end the game in the late game. There's all kinds of things this card could do for a theoretical standard artifacts deck. I'd like to try it there. When we get to Commander, of course, this could draw a buku of card. I think that's what the experts call it, a buku of cards. Or bukus of cards, one or the other. I think you could say both. And then give you, again, some value after that. But ultimately, I think it's just a fair card in both formats. But fair is better than bad, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a 5.1. I have a little bit of faith in it. I do have some faith in it. Arnim Zola Biofanatic is 3 mana for a 2/3 guy. He's got a legendary artifact scientist villain. You can pay 3, tap him, and you get a 2/1 villain with menace, but you only do that if there are 2 or more creatures in your yard. See, told you, there's some guys like this in the set. Limited playable little creature factory here, but doesn't go much farther than that. Guy reminds me of Krang, though. I feel like I have to say that. 3.6. Asgardian Citadel is one of those gain lifelands. Atlantean Cavalry is awesome. She's riding a crab. Sick. This is 3 mana for a 3/2 Merfolk Soldier with Vigilance, and when you draw your second card in a turn, this thing gets a +1/+1 counter. Normal magic card, although I do like seeing this ability. I do. Draw a second card in a turn is always fun, but not really that playable in most formats beyond limited. So, and is it even really playable there? I'm going to give this a 2.8. Sure. Atlantis Attacks is, look at that big whale guy in the background. I love him. This is 7 mana, 5 double blue for a sorcery, Teamwork 4. Choose one, but if you use Teamwork, you get to do both. Target player gets a 6/5 blue Leviathan with hexproof, or return 1 or 2 target non-land permanents to their owner's hand. This is really neat. This is a cool card, but it's not like good. Wouldn't necessarily call the card good, so I'm just going to slap a 2.9 on this. Keep it rolling. Might win you a game in limited, but we'll see. Atuma, Atlantean Warlord. Am I saying it right? He's riding a shark. That's awesome. 4 mana for a 3/4. Other merfolk you control get +1/+1. Whenever one or more merfolk you control attack a player, draw a card. Good stuff. It's not bad. It's not like bad, you know, but at this mana cost, you know, I didn't really mention with Atlantis Attacks, like, this card costs 7 mana. I did say it's a lot, but I still think 4 mana is kind of a lot for what this is doing for you. Like, you only draw 1 extra card per turn cycle. Sure, I get an Anthem, but this is double the cost of most Anthems nowadays, but I still think if you're building Commander Merfolk, you play it, so I'll give it right out of 5. I'll do it. He is, in fact, a Lord, as Laughsall points out, yes. That whale having arms kind of freaks me out. We'll get past it soon, I promise. I'm sorry. Avengers Assemble is 5 mana, 4 and a white for an enchantment with flash. Heroes you control get +2/+2 at the beginning of each end step. If you attack with a hero this turn, or a hero entered the battlefield under your control this turn, draw a card. That was literally all of my breath in my body. So hero-specific enchantment that costs 1,000,000 mana. It has flash. I guess that makes it cool. You can ambush your opponent with it. But again, 1 card per turn cycle on an Anthem that costs a lot. A very similar card when you think about it. I'm just going to give this like a 4.8 because I care about heroes less than I care about Merfolk. All right, you don't have to look at the whale anymore. Avengers Disassembled is 3 mana, 1 double red for a sorcery. Choose one or both. I apparently missed that the first time I evaluated this card. Avengers Disassembled does 3 damage to each creature or destroy target land, and then do the thing that you have to do sometimes. Controller search their library for a basic, throw it on the battlefield tap, shovel up. So if they don't have basics, awesome. It's pretty good. You just do both ski. Why don't you? But I guess my thought is if they have a bunch of small creatures to blow up, they're probably like a 1 or 2 color aggro deck. And in that case, they probably have basics, but you still do it. You still blow up a duel or you blow up a fountain port or whatever because you can. You blow up Soulstone Sanctuary and all their guys because you can, and that's awesome. You want to do that, right? So this is pretty good. I think all things considered, this is a fine little 3 mana, deal 3 damage to everything and get extra gravy off of it. It's kind of go, You don't even have to destroy a non-basic land or anything like that. You just destroy whatever you want to. Hey, kill your forest, then sure, go get another forest, whatever. That's fine. It's one fewer. So I don't know. Let's like this card a good bit. 5.4. 5.45 even, just because this is a playable card in standard, right? I think it is. Ooh, triggers landfall. Yeah, it does that, Underwear. Underwear, I feel like you make me say your name a lot. It's because you have a big brain over there. It does trigger landfall. That ain't bad. Avenger's Hangar is a life gain land. Avenger's Tower, on the other hand, is a land that enters untapped, taps for a colorless, and you can tap for a mana of any color to do hero stuff. You can also pay 4 and tap it, and look at the top 3 of your library, reveal a hero from among it, goes into your hand, the rest go on the bottom in any order. Fine hero land. I guess we need these. I'll give it right out of 5. Avengers Under Siege, 4 mana, 2 black-red for a saga. On Chapter 1, you get 2 2/1 villains with menace. On Chapter 2, this thing deals 2 damage to each non-villain creature and your opponents. And on Chapter 3, you get a treasure token for all the villains you got on the table. That's cool. These sagas are kind of tuned in an interesting way. They don't look like much. They look a little bit meh, They're all 4 mana things that are here's a little bit of value. We just looked at the artifact one, and that one looks meh, but it could be pretty strong, actually. That thing could draw 4 cards when it hits the table. Let you play them all for a reduced cost the next turn. Smash for 6 on the last turn. That could be better than it looks. This one could be as well, man. You get a couple of bodies for 1 card, and then you get a Pyroclasm that hits face on the same card. You get 1 to 3 treasures on a good day. On a good day, you get 4. That's it pays itself back. So, I don't know. This is another one that might be better than it looks, but I'm just going to give it a 4.8. It's pretty villain specific, and I don't care that much. Baron Helmet Zero, one of my favorite commander cards in the main set. 3 black mana for a 3/3. When you cast a black spell from your hand, Baron Helmet Zemo connives. Did I say 0? It's Zima. You can also boast to exile any number of black cards from your graveyard with 15 or more black pips among their mana cost to copy those exiled cards. Cast up to 3 without paying their mana cost. That is a pretty strong ability. Of course, to boast, you have to have attacked that turn. You can only do it once each turn, but who cares? If this guy does the thing 1 time, I think you might win, 3 cards for free, whatever's in your yard. That's pretty good. But the cool thing about this, especially in Commander, is just the first line of text. Cast a black spell, connive. Let's go. I'm fueling my graveyard. I'm putting dudes in there. I can reanimate them later or whatever I'm doing with them, right? Songs of the Damned later and get 1,000 mana because I got a bunch of guys in my yard. Let's go. Maybe I'm putting lands in my yard for there are decks that do that, Life from the Loam, whatever. Crucible of Worlds, who cares? So I actually think this is awesome in Commander. I don't think it's there in Standard, though. But since it's so there in Commander, I'm going to give this a 6.2. I'm serious. I really think this is hot stuff, baby, this evening. Good card. Baron Struka, Hydra Overlord, is 3 mana for a 2/2. Villain spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And whenever another villain you control enters, you may have it connive. Do this only once each turn, for some reason. Could be all the time, but whatever. It's fine. Drafty card, though, for the villains deck. I'm going to give this a 4. Right at. Baxter Building is a land that comes in untapped. Taps for a colorless. You pay 4, tap it to add 4 mana in any combination of colors. Okay. Or pay 4, tap it to draw a card if you control a dude with toughness 4 or greater. So this obviously goes in a couple of specific commander decks. So I'm just going to throw a 5 on this, too. I got 5! This is a decent card. I mean, it's just... It goes in some decks. The decks that it goes in, it's incredible. Sort of. It still costs 4 mana to activate. Still, the decks it goes in, it goes on. There's not much you can do about that. Beast Erudite Aerialist is 4 mana. 3 and then a Simic Hybrid in this case for a 3/3. As long as you put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on Beast this turn, he has flying. Whenever Beast deals damage to a player, draw a card. These are kind of neat abilities and limited. Doesn't go too far beyond that format in this case. He's not even like as cool as some of the other uncommon legends in the set, but I'm sure we'll get our good Beast card when we get to the real X-Men set like next year sometime. So as it is, I'm just going to give Beastie a 3.8. I think that drawing a card when he does combat damage is pretty decent. But apart from that, Burning Zana Plaza, that almost rhymes. You can make that bars. Is one of them lands, one of them life gain lands. Black Panther Vanguard, as we hit the bees here, is I think we've been there for a second, right? This is 4 mana, 2 green, white for a 4/4. Whenever another non-token hero you control enters, choose one, create a 1/1 soldier, or creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. I love cards like this. A little bit expensive for what it's actually doing, right? But again, I love stuff that, hey, whenever you play a hero, whenever you play a guy, you get a guy. In this case, it's not just like play a creature, it's play a hero. So I don't love that. I'm just going to give this a 4.86. I'll give this a 4.6. I really think the fact you have to play heroes kind of sucks. I think it's still neat. Uncommon for limited, that's really signposty for the hero deck. You play this, you get it there. Also, the art's cool. I like this. Black Widow Double Agent is 3 mana in Orzhov for a 3/2 Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gains First Strike and Menace until end of turn. That ain't bad. That's one of the better Exalted payoffs in the entire set for limited. And maybe even beyond. This probably goes in that Squall deck. Haven't seen an Exalted card yet in this set, in this run, that cares. That we care about for the Squall deck or any Exalted deck. This one I think might actually make the cut. So I'm going to give Black Widow a 4.9. It's in one deck. Black Widow Super Spy, on the other hand, is 2 mana, 1 in a black for a 2/1 with Menace. And whenever she deals combat damage to a player, you exile cards from the top of their library till you hit a non-land, put a +1/+1 counter on this lady. If you don't do that, then you can cast the exiled non-land card till end of turn. Any mana of any type, blah, blah, blah. So, you know. This is okay, but I think some people think this is awesome looking. I think this is just fine. I really do. Even with the Menace, she still has to get through for combat damage. She has to live in the first place, but she has to get through for combat damage. You have to have mana open to actually cast the thing that you hit. It can't just be a land that you play. It'd be better if you could just play a land. It's good she can grow, but +1/+1 counter once a turn, it could be better. So ultimately, I'm not so smitten with Black Widow. I'm once bitten, twice shy with these Spider Lady cards. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get caught up in this web. I'm going to keep doing it. So we should move on. 4.5. I don't think that this card, they've made this card a lot lately. Exactly. I don't think that it's as good as it once. If this card was printed in 2013, it would be insane. I don't think we're there anymore. I really don't. Blazing Crescendo is a reprint that we will give like a 4.5 to. This card's okay. Gives you context of how good a 4.5 can be. Bold Biochemist is 2 mana for a 1/3 human scientist with power up for 6 mana, +1/+1 counter, and draw 2 cards. Very, very normal. Incredibly normal magic card. We give these 3s. Burrow Backup is 5 mana. There's Moon Knight. He's on a card. Come on, man. 5 mana, 4 and a white for a sorcery. Create 2 3/2 heroes with vigilance and basic land cycles for 2 mana. This is kind of okay, given that it's a non-creature spell that creates a couple of tokens. That can actually be good, depending on what you're doing. And I like the basic land cycle if you're not capable of doing what you want to with it. Basic land cycling makes a card playable and limited like 7 times out of 10, and I think this one's kind of okay in the hero deck. Board in a box and all that. So 3.3, not terrible. Brave Brawler is 2 mana for a 2/1 human warrior hero with lifelink and power up for 5 mana. He gets 2 +1/+1 counters. Again, very normal. Child of Night with upside. I'll give it a 3.3 as well. Bruce Banner, a single blue mana for a 1/1. You pay double X, tap him, draw X at sorcery speed. Or you pay 2 double red, double green to transform at sorcery speed. Or you could just play the Incredible Hulk out of your hand for that same cost. This is an 8/8 reach, trample with enrage whenever Hulk is dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on him. If he's attacking, untap him. There's an additional combat phase after this phase. So this is apparently goes infinite with Caltrips, I hear. Because Caltrips does a damage to each attacking creature. So he attacks, takes a damage from Caltrips, gets the counter. That kind of erases damage he just took. You know what I mean? You get additional combat phase, Caltrips hits, blah, blah, blah. So over and over and over. Cute. Very cute. Neat commander guy, but honestly, despite the fact that this is either a incredibly giant, raging, and hard to deal with guy that just eats their face in the late game, Or this is a 1-drop with real relevance as the game goes on. It draws you a card, then 2 eventually. I still really kind of don't like I don't think the card's that playable, to be honest, but I have to give it some straws for Commander because it's probably decent there, or people will build decks around it. So I'm going to give this a 5.9, if only because this thing works so well with certain other things, not just caltrips, but people love these taking extra combat step cards, and this one has a lot of tricks, so I like it. Bullseye Death Dealer, 3 mana in Rakdos for a 2/3. When it enters, you may sacrifice an artifact or discard a non-land. When you do, Bullseye deals 2 damage to any target. Pay 3, tap it, sacrifice an artifact or discard a non-land to have Bullseye deal 2 damage to any target. So, you just do his ETB over and over if you have the mana. So, decent reach piece and limited to deal 2 damage, then deal 2 damage, then deal 2 damage to close the game out. But that's about the only function you'll use. I really don't think this card's that good outside of that. So, cool looking guy. I like guys that look like this for some reason. Either way, I'm just going to give him a 3.6. Call Damage Control is a good common. 2 mana, 1 and a green for a sorcery. Choose up to 2. Return the card you've chosen from your graveyard to your hand. A target artifact card or a creature card, an enchantment card or a land card. Notably, you can't choose the same thing twice. So some engineering does have to be done here, but I'm pretty sure you can easily find like creature land. That's not too hard. So for 2 mana, 2 cards out of your graveyard is a pretty good deal, right? I think this is halfway decent. So I'm actually going to give this a 5.2. 5.2-ish? Is that bad? Is that too much? You know what I'm saying? I think that's fine. Captain America Living Legend is 3 mana, 1 white blue for a 3/4 with vigilance. Whenever a creature you control becomes tapped during your turn. If it's the first time that's happened this turn, untap the creature. That's cool. You can get more mana abilities out of dudes, right? Or just anybody that has an activated ability. Let's go. And of course, everything has pseudo vigilance as well. Not bad. Not bad. Probably some fun commander stuff to do with this, but I think that's as far as it goes. I don't think this is a standard playable card by any means. Even though a 3 mana 3/4 vigilance, not the most embarrassing stats, but still don't think it's that good unless there's some wild trick I don't see. But even if there is a trick, a little mana intensive, don't you think? For the current standard, come on, Padre. We're in Badger Mole standard, baby. So I'm just gonna give Cap I will give this a 4.5. Not quite a 5, but this does get some cool commander tax here. Cap Shield, baby. This is 2 mana for a legendary equipment with indestructible. Equipped creature gets +0/+8 and has vigilance. Whenever equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. This only equips for 2, so 4 mana to get the entire kit and caboodle suited up on Cap or any creature. And obviously, there's a lot of decks that care about booty in Commander. There's some decks that care about booty in Standard, for that matter. And there's some creatures, one of the Captain America we're about to look at, as a matter of fact, that it really matters if he's got like a giant butt, because he boosts your entire team by his toughness or something like that. So any cards that work with toughness, yeah, cards sick. You played in Commander, but again, a little bit narrow. Well, it's slightly narrow at the end of the day, so I'm just going to give this a 4.7. It's a cute equipment. Captain America Super Soldier, 3 mana for a 3/2 first strike. When he enters, and he enters with a shield counter on him. As long as Cap has a shield counter on him, you and other heroes you control have it a hexproof, and he's got indestructible. So kind of a Sigarda variant. Sigarda is usually, like a 4 mana creature, gives you and your humans hexproof, something like that. This is 1 fewer mana. And like Sigarda, they have to take this out before they can kill your other guys. But unlike Sigarda, they have to take this out twice, right? They have to take the shield counter off of him somehow and then hit him with removal spells. So that actually seems really aggravating. That seems really, really annoying. A Catapoid just in time for Captain America. Good to have you. Thank you very much for being here. This is the best Cap we've looked at. It's not the one that works with the shield. That one's next. But yeah, this is a fine Cap, and I think it might almost be standard playable. This looks like one of the few serious mythics in the set, right? It's got its tie on and its top buttoned. It's ready to come to work. So I don't mind this at all, dude. I'll actually give this a 6.4. I think that for its mana cost, this ain't bad. This is not a bad Magic card, dude. Yeah, I'm not capping. No cap, y'all. More Cap, though. Captain America Wings of Freedom is 3 mana for a 3/1. Flying First Strike Ward 1. Whenever it attacks each other hero you control, gets +X till end of turn. X is Cap's toughness. So, again, this goes insanely well with the shield, right? Everyone gets at least +9/+9 if he's wearing the shield. That's cool. For what it's worth, 3 mana, 3 power, flying, first strike, ward 1. These are stats. These are stats, right? Is she working the stats, girl, a little bit? I think, yeah. So I can't really be mad at that either. I'm going to give this a 5.1, and the only reason it's not like a 5.9 or something like that is because only heroes that you control get the benefit, and it's other heroes as well. So, that's not as good. But there's a trick. It's obviously a pretty slick trick with the card. Slick Rick. Now, Captain Marvel, Earth's Protector over here, is 5 mana, 3 double white for a 5/4 legendary Kree hero. That's a creature type. With flash, flying, and lifelink, you can power her up for 7 mana. She gets +1/+1 counter. And notably, an indestructible counter. Indestructible, not a shield counter. An indestructible forever counter. That's awesome. That's pretty good. I actually think with the flash, this is almost playable. What is the stinking Boombringer Valkyrie? The angel for 5 mana. It's like a 5/4 lifelink flying in standard. That card ain't bad, but it's not standard playable, right? With the flash, though, you slap flash on a creature like that, we're having a conversation. We're having a grown-up discussion. As a matter of fact, we might even be buying a house. That's it. We're signing up for a mortgage. We're going to the bank. We're signing the papers. We're talking to the guy or the lady, But in any case, again, we're having a real talk about this card, I think. I love the power-up ability. I like that, of course. These abilities are instant speed, so you can do it the turn she comes into play and reduce the cost by 5. So you just need 7 mana, basically, to do it the turn she comes in. Or if you untap with this card in play, your opponent taps out, you play this EOT, untap with it in play, well, now, if they try to do anything to her, you try to touch my lady, you try to touch this lady, I'm going to put an indestructible counter on. How about that? So that seems okay. Puts you right back into the game, too, when you just flash it in and block with it. So I think she's real. Manic Twix, thanks for your Prime sub. I appreciate that. It appears to be the first time you've subbed, so thank you very much. But, yeah, I do. I like this. I'm going to give this a 6. Can I just give it a 6? Manic Twitch, I caught you live. Let's go. Let's go indeed, dude. We're at some of the good cards in the set. Until now, Captain Marvel Spaceborne is 5 mana, 4 and white for a 4/4 flying vigilance. That's just Sarah Angel. It's got cosmic awareness. Sarah Angel does not have that. As long as an opponent has cast a spell this turn, you can cast spells as though they had flash. It's really neat. That's a pretty neat card. It's not good in like standard or anything, but it's neat. So a little bit of neat tax on it. I give it a 4.3. It's just not good. I wish it were better. What would I give Sarah Angel? Let's give it a 4.4. That's the PT. We'll give it a 4.4. Castle Doom is a land. You can tap it for a color as it comes into play on tap. Tap it to add a mana of any color to cast an artifact spell. So that's pretty good right there. Just Inventor's Fair and like 1,000 other cards. You can pay 3 and tap it, sack an artifact. You get a 3/3 Doombot at sorcery speed. Or the sorcery speed is a little doopy on this. It's both poopy and doopy. But it's still, an activated ability, and it didn't have to have one at all, because just, what do you mean? Like, I don't pay life for this? I don't have to have a bunch of artifacts in play to get the mana of any color. Just get a mana of any color to cast artifacts, and it comes into play untapped. It doesn't hurt me at all. That's awesome. Just a good card, dude. I'm going to give this like a 7. This is fantastic. And look at the art, too. I think the art is... We were talking about a Castlevania Universes Beyond before I pressed record, like earlier when I was streaming. And if we get a Castlevania Universes Beyond, let's just we Sharpie these guys out down here. Or just pretend that they're like vampires, right? And just use the same art from Nino East, who did an incredible job here. This looks like a magic card. Anyway, I think that was probably in the artist notes, right? Sorry to belabor the speed run here, but I think that was in the artist notes. Like, hey, Nino, you want to maybe make this one look like a magic card? They did. Claim the Kingdom is 2 mana for a plan enchantment with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control and a plan counter on this thing. When the 4th plan counter is put on this, sack it. When you do, put an indestructible counter on a creature you control. That's not actually as good as it looks. I'm convinced this isn't as good as it actually looks. Can it fit in the landfall deck? Maybe. Maybe not, though. It's like slots are so precious in that deck. A lot of times, you see on MTGO, these winning lists might not even play Mossborn. They stopped playing Tifa forever ago. You're not playing cards like that. Can you fit Claim the Kingdom? I think Earthbender Ascension is probably just a better version of the card, right? But Those decks don't mind an indestructible counter. They don't. Problem is, like, even though they want to protect their creatures, this still timing-wise doesn't necessarily work the same way like a Snakeskin Veil does or something, you know? So I worry a little bit about it. I worry it's trappish slightly for the landfall deck. It doesn't quite make the cut, but I still think it's a fine card, you know? I give it a 4.25. Somewhere 4.25, sure. Cloak and Dagger Entwined. No, I'm going to give it more than the 4-4 I just talked about. That was kind of a meme score, the 4-4, right? I give this a 4.5. I'll do that. I'll stay slightly consistent within a 3-card radius. Cloak and Dagger Entwined is a good-looking Magic card. 1 black-white for a 2/2 Death Touch lifelink. When Cloak and Dagger enter, choose target opponent and up to 1 target creature they control. They reveal their hand. You may exile a non-land card from their hand or the chosen creature until C and D leave the battlefield. Chat, tell me what this card rated. I'm going to take a sip real quick. I'm going to get the reserves going here. Let's take a big sip from the largest cup. You guys, I don't know if there's context for how massive this 79-cent cup of soda is. It's unbelievable. Who could pass up such a deal? Numb. It's phenomenal. It's not. It's like 6 hours old and it's kind of like watery, but I guess it's better than drinking a big pile of soda. A pile of soda? Maybe. Either way, what are you guys doing? 4.5, it's fair. 6 from Manic Twitch. 5.72 from Lily Von T. Laugh Salt, 5.1. Literally just playable. 6.6 solid from my real life cousin Jason. 5.5 from Underwear. 4.8 from Kringle Bob. Legendary hurts its ability. Yeah, I agree. 5.6 legendary revision, says my real life cousin Jason. It went down an entire point. A whole point. 10% of the perfect score. Tough, man. I think that this is a playable standard card. In what deck? I'm not honestly sure. Katramos? So he fights on curve with Katramos, but you know, I feel like if you're playing Deep Cavern Bat on 2 into this on 3, yes. that's a likelihood, right? Like that's a possibility. You definitely see that. So I think it's very good. I think it's very annoying. And cards like this typically see play. Even at 3 mana, this could see play. So I'm going to give this a 5.5, and that is all based on standard playability. But if it had a deck ready to go day 1, I'd give it like a 6.4. You know what I mean? It'd be really good, but I'll give this a 5.5. I'll be a little bit generous, more so than I want to be with this, because I do think that this is the kind of card that is typically a slam dunk playable card, if not like the thing that wins the game. You know, like it's a role player, but a pretty good one. Pretty good. I mean, what would you? Well, okay, chat. One more thing. I know I don't want to look. We're speed running here, but just thought experiment. What would you give a Deep Cavern Bat? What do you rate Deep Cavern Bat? Why don't you do that? And I'll talk about Colleen Wing Street Samurai. 2 mana, 1 and a white for a 2/2. Whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature you control, put a +1/+1 counter on Colleen and scry 1. So a little bit more restricted version of repartee here. You know, but that's fine. This is still a pretty decent 1 or 2 drop for limited, right? I've seen worse in this set for sure. So she also looks awesome. She looks so cool, dude. But apart from that, I guess I'll just give this like a 3.8. I think it's okay. Construct a Cosmic Cube is neat. 3 mana, 2 and a black for a plan enchantment. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/1 black villain creature token with menace. Put a plan counter on this. When the 7th plan counter gets put on this, sack it. When you do, you control target opponent during the next turn. That's pretty good. So, that's cool. I like making robots. You know, it takes a good few turns to make enough robots. And I'm not sure that in a competitive environment, it's worth skipping your turn 3 to play this card unless you have a way of drawing another card the turn you play this, and then you get a thing out of it. And maybe, but really not guaranteed, right? So it takes a long time to actually sack it. You get Mindslaver at the end of all that, but you know, we've seen a bunch of these Mindslaver effects these last few sets in the last couple of years, and to all of those. But I do like a Creature Factory. Those can be halfway decent. So okay, you know, sure, I'll give it a I'd give it a 4.7. I think it's slow, but I like a creature factory, especially in aristocrats and stuff. 6.6 for Bat. Bat, 6.5. Bat, easy 6. Bat, 6. Bat gets a 6.5 or 6.7. Yeah, 6.5 to 7. DC being a true 2-drop makes it a 7. 1 mana difference is huge. I agree, Kringle. I agree. Yeah, the difference between 2 and 3 is massive. It is absolutely massive, but Deep Cavern Bat can't affect the board state. I'll say that much. And Deep Cavern Bat also doesn't have Death Touch or Lifelink. You know, like they want their card back, they're gonna have to fight for it. And I think that the ability to potentially hold off your opponent's board state is something people aren't thinking about with Cloak and Dagger. But yeah, Bat is really good. I would also give Bat like a 6.5 or something, like just for standard, right? Not overall for every format or whatever, but just standard 6.5, sure. But yeah, I think Cloak and Dagger's pretty good. Let me just put it that way. Cosmic Cube is 5 mana for an artifact with Ward 2 whenever you attack. Look at the top 6 of your library. Cast a spell from among them. Mana value less than or equal to the greatest power among attacking creatures you control without paying its mana cost. Good lord. They could have just said the biggest guy you got. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. Normal, huge artifact thing for commander you're supposed to do dumb crap with. No longer impressed. When we have so many of these, it's like, well, I could be playing any of those. Like, this makes me attack with big guys, and who cares? You know what I mean? I'm just going to give this, like, a 5. It's got to be worth a 5, right? It's, you know, Crimson Operative is 4 mana, 3 and a red for a 3/2 artifact creature, human villain. Prowess, when it enters, exile the top card of your library till the end of your next turn, play that card. We got a bread and butter limited card here, everybody. Bread and butter, baby, but it's just like a 2.9. Crossbones Malicious Mercenary, 4 mana for a 3/3 Death Touch. Whenever another villain you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on Crossbones. He deals 2 damage to each opponent once a turn. Bunch of wusses. Why just once a turn? This would be sick if you could like infinite somebody like this somehow. There's got to be a way, but I like abilities like this. Doesn't mean I think they're good when it comes to time to put your pants on. Sometimes you got to put your pants on. You can't just lay around no pants all day. You got to be serious and leave the house. And when it's time to leave the house, this card's like a 3.9. Crowd of True Believers is a single white mana for a human citizen. I got to press next? You telling me I got to next this thing? Crowd of True Believers is a single white mana for a 1/2 human citizen. Tap it. A creature you control is attacking alone. Gets +1/+0 till end of turn. And for whatever reason, you gain 1 life. Normal card. Exalted thing, I guess. Why do you have to tap it? Why can't it just say whenever your creature you control attacks alone? Doesn't matter. I'm going to give this a 3.2. Cool Alliance is 3 mana, 2 and a black for a sorcery with Teamwork 2. Exile a creature, mana value 3 or less. Spell was cast using Teamwork. Instead, exile target creature and gain 3 life. So it's always going to be sorcery speed, remove target creature. Just one guy. Not great. You know, fine and limited, I guess. So I'll give this a 3.5. Because, again, like that's the kind of baseline for pretty decent limited. Daredevil Man Without Fear, 4 mana, 2 red, white for a 3/4 legendary human hero. Vigilance Haste. Radar Sense. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. Whenever you attack, exile the top of your library. That card's a hero. Daredevil gets +2/+1 till end of turn. Play the card this turn. So no matter what, you draw the card. Sort of. You red draw the card. And a 3/4 haste is fine, but not necessarily for 4 mana, right? You do want the boost, but he doesn't have to be in a hero deck or anything. This is one of the few cards with the word hero printed on it that can be fine outside of that deck, but just fine and probably not actually playable in too many standard piles. It doesn't really excite me in Commander either, so I'm just going to slap like a 4.7 on this. It's an extra card every turn. That's good, right? Probably. I don't know. Next is Dark Deed. This is 2 mana, 1 and a black for an instant. A creature gets -4/-4 to EOT. Strictly better. Grasp of Darkness, everybody. How do we feel about it? Well, it's got good art by Lixin Yin. I just concentrate on like this part without the guys. Look at this guy's face. He's got a mask on like a Supa villain and whatever. The rest of this art is beautiful. I guess it's Bullseye. I guess this must be Bullseye. He's in the flavor deck. But I guess I'll give a Strictly Better Grasp like a 4.4 again, right? That's about a 4 point. It's a solid removal spell, 4.4. Dark Fortress, that's playable. That is, but is it? It's playable in standard, but is it? Right? I will say they gave this a name that they can reprint 1,000 times in like real Magic sets. I like that about it. And they'll do it. They'll do it. 4.5. Dark Fortress is one of these gain lifelands. No, it's not. No, it isn't. It's one of these. Excuse me. Dark Fortress is one of the good ones. Land, untap when it comes into play. Tap for colorless or tap for black-red. Activate only if this land entered this turn or if you control a basic land. These are insane. These are like the best cards in the set. 8.5. Seriously. These are, I'm not backing off that score. I'm pretty sure these will be the highest scoring cards in the set. 8.5. Crazy. This is crazy. It's very good. Death to Our Enemies is a neat little commander piece. 3 mana, 2 and a red for a plan enchantment. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a tapped treasure token, put a plan counter on this enchantment. When the 4th plan counter is put on this enchantment, sack it. When you do, it deals 7 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. You're telling me I make 4 treasure tokens with this thing? You're telling me I just get 4 treasure tokens? Let's go. Manic Twitch, thanks for the gifted subs. I appreciate that. How many was it, dude? 5. Thanks you for the 5 gifted, Manic Twitch. You just got here. You're already throwing out gift subs. You're amazing. Appreciate you. This is a fun little commander sleeper, I think. Not like the best card in the world, but I do think red likes to cast non-creatures, make treasure tokens, deal damage. I mean, we'll do all this. Why not? It's a fun time on a Saturday night. Dude, 5.6. I'm serious. I like this card. I can't help but like this card. Next is Decoy Ploy, or Decoy Ploy. No, that'd be Deploy Ploy. Decoy Ploy. 2 mana, 1 and a black for an instant. Choose one or both. Return a villain from your yard to your hand, or a hero from your yard to your hand. Or, of course, both. So, again, 2 cards out of your yard is cool, but they have to be very specific creature types. Very limited coded, very parasitic to that environment. I'm just going to give this like a 3.4. You play it. And you do, by the way. 2 mana for at instant speed for 2 cards out of your yard is pretty good and limited. You do play it there. Dependable Quinjet, 3 mana for a vehicle artifact with flying. It's got a 3/3 when it comes to power toughness. It crews for 4 and it taps for a mana of any color. So just a 3 mana rock that you can attack with flying with. That's short. Short, 3.4, whatever. It's probably a little bit better than that, but I just 3 mana rocks cease to please me. They've ceased to please me. I'm on my villain arc because we're in this. Deep Power is 3 mana for an instant that costs 2 less to cast. If it targets an attacker, target creature gets -4, -0 till end of turn. Draw yourself a card. So when this costs 1 mana, it's fine, but still not super playable. I don't love these power reducers in limited, and especially beyond. I'm not a big fan. I'm gonna give this a 2.5. I don't like him. Doc Samson, super psychiatrist. I like him. I like his outfit, his hair. I like the fit of his pants. Look at that. 5 mana, 4 and a green for a 3/6 legendary Gamma Doctor Hero. If you would put 1 or more counters on a permanent you control, put that many plus 1 of each of those kinds of counters on the permanent instead. Tap for X mana of any one color. X being Doc's power. That's cool, man. 5 mana probably puts it out of playability, but we've got like an almost doubling season that's not as sick as doubling season. But he also taps for at least 3 mana. And he probably taps for more mana, right? You know, you can tap this for 6 mana pretty easily if you do some stuff. Just, be creative. But tapping for at least 3 is kind of cool, too. He's like a Gilded Lotus with nice shoes, So I'm going to give Doc like a surprising 4.7. Seriously, I shouldn't give him that high. I just gave Dark Deed like a 4.5. I'll give him the same, though. I'll give him a 4.6 even. This is fun commander tax right here. And in limited, I think this guy's a house. I think you could build your house. He's strong looking. Dr. Doom over here, 6 mana, 4 double black for a 3/3. When he enters, you get 2 3/3s named Doombot. As long as you control an artifact, creature, or a plan, this guy's got indestructible. And at the beginning of your end step, draw a card, lose a life. Too much for 6 mana, probably. Or is it? Is it? This has built-in protection. That's something we're looking for in standard. This, if your opponent does find a way to remove it, at least leaves, 6 power behind. That's a lot of value. That's what we're looking for in standard. Hey, he replaces himself with cards drawn if he stays on the table for a turn or 2. We're looking for that in standard. We building Doom mid-range over here? I think it could happen. 6 mana is probably just exactly the wrong, if it costs like 7 or 8 mana and had more PT or something, he'd be more of a reanimation target, and that would be worth maybe doing something. If he costs like 5 mana and was like slightly down-tuned, he'd be easier to get to, right? But at 6 mana, it's kind of a tough call. It really is. Fuzznuts, thank you for the 5 gifted. Appreciate the love tonight, guys. I really do. Killing my voice, so I do appreciate the love. But I keep going back and forth on this in standard, but the 6 mana stops me just short. Is this a fun commander, though? I don't know, maybe. Like a mono black guy that does, I don't know, could be. And yeah, 9 total power on 3 bodies, an indestructible body, drawing cards. Yeah, it does something, it comes into play. And it does something the same turn it comes into play by drawing the card. Like, God, this is everything we look for in a standard playable creature at the top end of the curve. But, you know, at the same time, dang. So I'm going to throw a 5.7 at this. Because I think it's just attractive enough as like a fun commander. And I have a little bit of faith in standard, but if I had more faith, I would give it a higher score. Let me put it that way. Walkley, thank you for the 3 months. Parasocial homie, you got a PO box, got a game I want to send you. You would email me. Email me at strictlybettermtg@gmail.com. All lowercase, strictlybettermtg@gmail.com. We'll talk about it. I should have a PO. Speedrun to the P.O. box. I should have a P.O. box by now. Everyone asks me all the time. Doom reigns supreme is 2 mana, 1 and a black for an enchantment plant. Whenever a villain you control enters, each opponent loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. Put a plan counter on this enchantment. When the 5th plan counter is put on this enchantment, sacrifice it. When you do, target opponent exiles top 5 cards of their library. You can cast up to 2 spells for free from them 5 cards off your opponent's library. Not too bad. Not too bad. That said, you're skipping a turn to play it. It's villain specific. It's the only way to get the counters on it. It takes a while to get the counters on it, so I'm smelling a trap here. I'm going to give this a 4.6. Not even. 4.1. I'll give this card a 4.1. Stop me. You can't. Earth's Mightiest Hero, 6 mana. You might want to fight me on this one too, man. This is one of those cards that's either like ho-hum, more of the same, or it's crazy, dude. 6 mana, 4 and double green for a sorcery, teamwork 5. Reveal the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. That happens no matter what, but if you cast a spell using teamwork now, any number of creature cards from that top 8 goes onto the battlefield instead. The rest of the cards go into the graveyard. That's kind of neat. You know, you're milling a bunch of cards, theoretically. You'll probably do something with that. But yeah, top 8, and we'll just assume you teamworked it. So if you hit 4 creatures, you know, if you hit 3, let's just say you hit 3 creatures. 3 creatures for 6 mana is good. Right? I mean, you're going shields down for sure to cast the card in the first place if you teamwork it. And the idea is that you want to probably attack with the creatures you put into place. If you hit haste stuff, that's good. If you hit like Raph and Mikey, that's even better, you know? But if you don't hit haste stuff, maybe you hit like Volborn Tyrant, you can block with that. You draw cards, you gain life, you know? So there's a lot of hits off of this, but is it better than Smuggler's Surprise? Is it better than Michelangelo's Improvisation? Is it better than Kona? Is it better than Summoner's Grimoire? Is it better than the other like 2 cards in Standard that do this? Like, I'm still just not convinced, but cards like this can sometimes be good. They actually can, you know? So I think that I'm going to give this a 5.1 because that's in a vacuum, right? Like, a vacuum doesn't assume that Smuggler's Surprise exists. You know, it might be the better card, but I still think there could be something here. They really could. And for what it's worth, I don't think anybody's mentioned this that's evaluated the card. I could be wrong. Sorry if someone has. But the second one is better than the first. You know what I mean? Like, you play the first one and you teamwork your guys, hopefully, right? But the second one, you've almost certainly got enough to teamwork it again, like on like one guy, you know? So that could be good. But anyway, Echo Perceptive Prodigy is 3 mana, 2 and a blue for a 1/4 legendary human hero with vigilance. Pay 1, tap it, copy target activated or triggered ability you control from a creature source. Choose new targets for the copy. Really cool. Really cool. I don't know if it's like a commander staple or anything, but definitely like a budget commander dream. And so that's like the space that I live in right now, is just building budget commander decks. So I think she's awesome. I think she can do a lot of cool stuff. I think she's probably worth 3 mana in the right builds. I like her a good bit. I'm going to actually give her a 5.2, and that is all commander. I don't think this card's standard playable, but she might surprise us and worry too. Remember that you can pass this ability around on like Agatha's Soul Cauldron, and obviously that deck includes a lot of activated abilities, but you can copy like an Enter the Battlefield trigger. It's also triggered abilities as well. So this is neat. This is a very neat card. But let's move on. Is it better than Gojo? Yeah, I think so. And Go-Go. I think it's right there with Go-Go. I like Go-Go a lot. But Go-Go can obviously do the thing more than once, but this is cheap. This is super cheap, has a high toughness. It's all good. Electra, Daughter of the Hand, 4 mana in black for a 3/3 with sneak for 1 and double black. When she enters, destroy a creature an opponent controls. With power 3 or less. Good art, by the way, here by Bastien de Harm. I think that's correct. But this is a Necrotile style creature. You know, usually I love a Ravenous Chupacabra. And this is just okay. It's okay enough to get a 4.8, but not really okay enough to get a higher score than that. But these can sometimes be good. I just think it's a little restricted. Epic Fight, 3 mana, 2 and a green for a sorcery. Choose one or both. Double target creature's power and toughness till EOT. And or target creature you control fights a creature an opponent controls. Chat, hit me with it. You didn't expect it this time, did you? You didn't expect it, but I'm going to give you an Epic Fight. Rate this card. Remember that I'm rating for all formats, Standard, Modern, Pioneer, but mostly we rate for Standard and Casual Commander here on whatever this is that we're doing on Twitch.tv. So what do you think of this? What do you think? You think that this might have something to it, or you think that actually it's not that great? Have a great time, everyone. I'm in time for South Korea versus Chechnya. I thought that you were in South Korea for a second. Yeah, have fun with the cup. Have fun with the cup, Lily Von T. It's going to be a fun time over there. 4.5. 3 sorcery just kills it. 4 by Kringle Bob. A couple other ratings here coming in. Why would you never do both? 2.75. Yeah, 4.5. 4.0 on my way out from Lily Von T. Thank you, Lily. I'm sure you'll see the rest of this later. It's funny because the World Cup match is probably going to take less time than the rest of this. Imagine that. But anyway, I'm actually going to give Epic Fight a 5.2. And I am doing that because I think this is a good enough commander card. I think that doing both, you'll totally do both, right? But double creature's power and toughness in commander is probably good. It's probably pretty good on some stuff. And as like a removal spell in mono green landfall, I think it might have like a small chance, but I mean a half of a percent of a chance at 3 mana sorcery speed. But I think this is actually a really attractive coupling of things to be able to do in your big green Timmy commander deck or whatever. So I like it there. I'll actually give it a 5.2. I think it's okay. I think this card's better than it looks, is what I'm trying to say. We'll see. Evil's Thrall is 3 mana, 2 and a red for a sorcery. It's a threat and effect. Gain control of a creature till EOT. If you have a villain with greater mana value than that creature, gain control of that creature until the end of your next turn. Instead, untap that creature, gains haste till end of turn. That's a fun upside on a threat and effect. I typically give threat and effects a 3.7 or thereabouts. I think they're slightly more than just a little playable and limited. They're typically very playable and limited. I'm going to give this one a 3.75. It's that much more playable than the typical threat. Falcon's Wing Harness is 2 mana, 1 and a blue for an equipment. It equips for 2 and a blue, but when it enters, you get to attach it to something right away. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has flying and ward 1. So if you play it correctly, it doesn't work. I was going to say, you flash it in, and it's like, do they have to pay the ward if you flash it in? I'm not actually sure. You can't flash it in. You can't. Something just told me, like, this is one of them. And see, once you've read enough Magic cards, your brain's just like, oh, it's one of them 2 mana equipment you flash in to protect your guy. No, it's not one of those. It's actually not. It's just +1/+1 flying and ward 1. It wants to be Zephyr Boots. It wants to be Zephyr Boots. It ain't Zephyr Boots, baby. I'm going to give this a 2.9, somewhere in there. In limited, this could be good. Flying on a guy is usually good in limited, but Falcon Winged Wonder is 5 mana in blue for a 3/4 flyer with avian telepathy. When Falcon enters, create Red Wing, a legendary 1/1 blue bird scout creature token with flying, and whenever Red Wing attacks, surveil 1. I really should just short wing that to here's a 1/1 bird. Something like that. But for 5 mana, this is obviously too much. It's not even that great in limited. I will give this a 3.5. Fin Fang Foom is 4 mana, 2 and double red for a 3/5 legendary alien dragon villain with flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets an artifact or a land, copy that spell, choose new targets for the copy, put 2 +1/+1 counters on the triple F here, chat. So that's okay. Probably one of the more fun main set commanders to sit in the chair. You know, put him in the throne, make him do some stuff. This guy will be a lot of fun. But I think that I will give this, I think I'll give it a 6. And I give it a 6 because I enjoy land destruction and Ponza. Yeah, on Reeves. You know the word Ponza, so we're friends. Yeah, I'll give it a 6. I like cards like this. Fisk Tower is, in this time it is one of the life gain lands, but in this case it's black-white, so I'm going to give it a 4.6. Black-white life gain land, always better. Next is Forest. Basic lands get a 5. Frozen in Ice is 3 mana, 2 and a black. For an aura that enchants a creature, it taps the creature, and that creature loses all abilities and cannot become untapped. I love that they've been doing that lately. Not doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Cannot become untapped is way better. That's so cool, but still, just normal removal for way too much mana, but you'll play it in limited sometimes. 3.3. Futurist Forge is a cool card. 2 mana, 1 and a blue for an artifact. When it enters, draw yourself a card. Pay 4 mana, sack it, draw 2 cards at instant speed. That's better than it looks right there. 4.6. Gathering Place. Now, this is another one of these 8.5 lands. That's an 8.5. Ghost Spectral Saboteur is 3 mana, 1 and then a blue-black hybrid. 2/2 flash, intangibility, cannot be blocked. Just assume every creature is legendary. You probably have by now. Half of them are heroes, half of them are villains. Anyway, this is Phantom Warrior. I like Phantom Warrior. Honorary 5. But if I had to really score this card, I'd give it a 3.7. It's pretty good in limited. Giant Growth is Giant Growth. What do you give Giant Growth? I'll give Giant Growth 3.5. It's the most normal magic card ever existent. That ever existed. Ha! Now, giant size flying ant is 4 mana, 3 and a blue for a 3/2 insect flash. Flying. When it enters, either tap a non-land permanent or untap a non-land permanent. So like Pestermite vibes in some ways, right? This is cute and limited, but only ever cute. I'm going to give this a 3.5. Yeah, I'll give it a 3.5. Gleaming Bastion is the blue-white good land, 8.5. Go Nuts, a single green mana for a sorcery, teamwork 3. Choose one. If you did teamwork, you get both. Put a +1/+1 counter on a guy, or a creature you control fights a guy an opponent controls. So pretty good if you get the entire teamwork, but still kind of okay even if you don't, man. Give this like a 3.4. Grim Reaper. No, I'm not. Hold on. 3.6. Grim Reaper, Lethal Legionnaire is... It doesn't matter. 4 mana for a 3/4. When it attacks, you may pay 4 mana again. When you do, return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking with finality counter, baby. So cast Zombify when he attacks if you have the mana. Pretty decent, limited, but I'm not going to go farther than again, like a 3.7. It's just, Gorilla. Do you get it? 2 mana, 1 and a green for a 2/2 reach. Sack it to destroy a non-creature artifact or a non-creature enchantment. Only at sorcery speed for no reason. There's just none reason for that. We got a bunch of horses and cats and stuff that sacrifice to destroy an artifact or enchantment. You do that whenever you want to. Why is it sorcery speed? I do not understand. They've even powered it down by making sure that you can't hit creatures with it. Just what are we doing? Why? Why is it sorcery speed? I'm still going to give it a 4. Cards like this are okay. Hawkeye, Master Marksman is 2 mana, 1 and a red for a 2/2 first strike reach with Trick Arrows. Whenever Hawkeye becomes tapped, you may pay 1 up to 3 times. When you do, choose up to that many. Either net, a creature can't block this turn, or deal 2 damage to target player, or discard a card and then draw a card. Those are Explosive and Boomerang. Specifically if you wanted to know the ability words, but in any case, these are all pretty decent in an aggro deck if you've got mana laying around, which first few turns, you want to optimize your mana use. You might not have mana laying around, but this is actually pretty decent in terms of like getting a little bit of late game reach on the opponent by dealing the extra damage. You can hit for like 6 with this. That's pretty decent. Like you can hit for 6 on turn 3 with this if you want to devote all your mana to it. That's not bad. But, also Fuel Monument strategies, Cool but Rude strategies, Reanimator strategies. There's lots of them. Flashback, stuff like that. Creature can't block this turn is traditionally very good in aggro. So I like this. Very likely more than I actually should. But I do like it. I'm going to actually give this a 6. You guys okay? You guys good with a 6? You didn't expect a 6, right? You probably thought a little 5.2. No. I'm gonna maybe can you choose the same mode? You may pay 1 up to 3 times becomes tapped when you do choose up to that many. Can you? Oh my god, can you not? So you can't like deal 6. Well, maybe if you can't deal 6, it's worse, but still pretty good. That is going to affect the card though. I'll still give it a 5.4. You can't deal 6 with it. You can't. No, you can't choose the same mode more than once. It would say that. So yeah. Yeah, sometimes you got to adjust on the fly. I'm still going 5.4. Hawkeye's bow over. Oh, is he the one with the pizza dog? Does Hawkeye have the pizza dog? Is that? I didn't know where he came from. This is a single red mana for an equipment that equips for 1. Equipped creature gets +1/+0, has reach. Whenever equipped creature becomes tapped, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. That is a really, really neat line of text. If you can just keep untapping the creature over and over, right? It's really neat. It's each opponent too. So at a common, this could be like super pauper playable potentially. Say that 5 times fast. But apart from that, it could also be like, pauper commander playable or even just commander playable. This is a cute line of text. So I'm going to F11 and press back. There we go. But I'm going to go ahead and give this like a 4.9. I'm feeling very generous with this card. I think this ability could be cool. It's very cheap. Card's very cheap to get on the table. Hawkeye Young Avenger is 4 mana. For a 2/4 reach, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, instead deals that much damage plus X, X being Hawkeye's power. So idea, I guess, is to cast like Pump Spell, Burn Spell. It hits for like 10 or something like that, and then you swing with Hawkeye. Cute stuff. Neat, again, pauper commander here, or even like a big commander, but there's so many good mono red commanders in this and the commander product that this probably gets eclipsed, but this little lady is pretty cool here, actually. Neat text box. I'm going to give this a 5. Cool commander text. Turns out that helps. Helicarrier Strike is a single white mana for an instant with Teamwork 2 that deals 2 damage to an attacking or blocking creature. If you Teamwork, it deals 4 damage instead. Ooh, pretty normal white removal spell. We see a lot in a lot of sets for limited, so I'll give this a 3.4. Hellcat Undying Vigilante is 2 green mana for a 2/2 haste. When she dies, returns to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter. Loses all abilities, gains haste. So a version of Undying, but this ain't Strangleroot Geist. But being in the same like territory as a Strangleroot Geist is pretty good. Kind of a 2 mana 3/3 haste. Kind of just is that when it comes down to it, but can't hate it for that reason. I'm gonna give this a 4.9. I don't think it's quite there, but it's very tempting. Hell's Kitchen is... It's really the black-red one is called Hell's Kitchen. I didn't know that one yet. I know Hell's Kitchen is like a real place, but still, countdown to somebody putting Gordon Ramsay on this card. It's the life gain land, 4.5. Herbie up next. This is 4 mana for a common 2/1 flying artifact. When it enters, draw a card. Put a land card from your hand on the battlefield tapped if you have one. Pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm giving Herbie a 4. That's seriously, at least. I think this card is hella Pauper Commander playable. This is like the Pauper Commander card in the set. It's going to be Solemn Simulacrum in Pauper Commander from now on. Trust me. Mark my words. Herbie's the man. The woman? The robot. Herbie's the Wally. Like I said, I'm just going to call this Wally from now on. Wally, I'm going to give at least a 4, and I'm going to give it a 5. Honorary 5 for Herb. Herb, I'm going to do it. Let's go. Hercules, Prince of Power. Hercules. 3 mana for a 3/3. Power up for 5 mana. Put a +1/+1 counter on Herc. He gains Vigilance, Indestructible, and Haste until end of turn. He's seriously giving a thumbs up. He's seriously like, hey, why is he giving a thumbs up? This is the part of the Disney movie at the very beginning where he bumps into the column. And then he like tries to get it, but he just brings the entire marketplace down. It's that part. He doesn't know that's about to happen to him. Anyway, this is not great. There's a reason I made jokes instead of actually evaluate the card. It's not great. Even with the indestructible counter, it's not indestructible. It's just till the end of turn. What a crappy card. I'm going to give this a 3.3, man. Heroic Feast is 3 mana for an enchantment. When it enters, you get a food. Whenever you gain life, choose up to that many creatures you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of them. I mean, it just makes all of your creatures a Johnny's Pridemates. It gives you a food token, too. But making all of your creatures Pridemates, and for that matter, all of your Pridemates double Pridemates. That's tempting to me, man. I know that it's a 3 mana do nothing, but you can't stop me from loving cards like this. Commander alone, 5. But I'm playing it in Standard. I'm playing it in Green, White, Life Gain in Standard with all my, Hinterland Sanctifiers and Virulent Emissaries and yada yada. We'll play it. Hero in Training, 3 mana, 2 and a white for a human hero. When it enters, draw a card. If you control another hero, gain 2 life. Just, again, bread and butter limited common. Little guy that has the right creature type, draws you a card. Sure. 3.6. Hex Magic Blood Sugar. Hex Magic. 3 mana for an arcane sorcery. Exile all the cards from your hand. Draw that many cards. Till the end of your next turn, play exile cards this way. So you still get a whole turn. A whole turn and a half. to play the cards that were in your hand. But, you know, if they're crappy cards, you're not that worried about them anyway. You just want to draw a bunch of cards. And this card does a bunch of stuff. Gives you benefits for drawing cards. You know, if you got anything that, like, Sheldred is a good example. But, you know, anything that gives you any benefit for drawing cards, you're triggering it a lot of times. But anything for playing cards from somewhere other than your hand, you're triggering that a lot of times. So, card's pretty good, dude. I think it's, like, secretly a decent card. 5.3. Hidden Layer is the good blue-black land in the set, 8.5. Hyra Crew is 3 mana, 2 and a red for an instant. You get a 2/1 villain with menace, and then creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Whatever. What do you block with it, I guess? This is fine. I guess also if you are going to like alpha with your newly +1/+0 creatures, now you have a blocker. You swung with all your guys. That's okay. 3.2. Hour of Defeat, 4 mana for an instant. Destroy a creature. Surveil 1. Super playable and limited. You'll play it every time. 3.5. Hulk Gamma Goliath, 5 mana. 3 and Gruul for a 6/5 Reach Trample. Power up abilities of other creatures you control. Cost 3 less to activate. And power up for 8 mana. Put 5 +1/+1 counters on Hulk. Why does he say other creatures? I feel like his power up ability should have cost even more. You know, like 1 mana more, and like it works on himself. But maybe people would be like, well, why is that? You know, why is that? That's stupid. Actually, I think people would have been like, oh, the rules work like that. That's neat, but who cares? Anyway, 8 mana is too much to power this up. It's crazy to power this up. But obviously, like Signpost limited to uncommon for Gruul decks that use a bunch of power up abilities, right? So cute there. And in limited, look, even if you're not doing a bunch of power up crap, 5 mana, 6 power Reach Trample. Oh my god, right? You just play that guy when you get him in your limited, your sealed pool or whatever. So I'm gonna give him a 3.8. Hulkling. The Hulkling, Burgeoning Bruiser, is 3 mana for a 2/3 Vigilance. Whenever another creature you control enters, if it has greater power or toughness than Hulkling gets a +1/+1 counter. Pretty sure that's just Evolve. So, normal guy here, really. I'm going to give him a 2.9. Hulk Smash for 2 mana, 1 and a red for an instant with Teamwork 4. Choose 1 if the spell was cast using Teamwork. You get both. That's how Teamwork tends to work. Either destroy a non-creature artifact, or target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to a creature an opponent controls. So, kind of a bite effect plus a pseudo smash for a couple of mana. Perhaps it is a sideboard card. Perhaps, but I'm just going to give this a 4.5. I think it's okay. Human Torch, Johnny Storm. I think it's a decent removal spell. I'm serious. 4.3. Let's tone it down. 4.3. Human Torch, Johnny Storm is 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer. Whenever you draw a card, if you control another hero, Torch deals 1 damage to target opponent. Power up for 7 mana. Put 3 counters on Torch. So, is this the first one we've seen from the Fab Four? You know, Fantastic Four. Pretty sure if you put all 4 of them together, you get an infinite combo, which is adorable. But just Torch by himself is awesome. Whenever you draw a card, let's just assume you have another hero. Whenever you draw a card, damage to each opponent, target opponent, sure. I think that's a lot of fun. Target opponent does sully things a little bit in Commander, but I still think it's fun. So I'm going to give this one a 4.75. Not great, but I love that ability. Hydra Assault Robot, 2 mana, 1 and a red for a 1/3 robot villain artifact creature. Whenever another villain and or artifact you control enters, this guy deals 1 damage to target opponent. So almost Reckless Fireweaver, right? Same cost, same power toughness, but Fireweaver, I believe, says each opponent. This is target opponent. Again, sucks. Like, it puts a massive damper on the situation, but still a decent card. I'm going to give this a 4.9. It is very, very close to at least Commander playability. Hydra Infiltration, 4 mana for an enchantment. When it enters, target opponent discards 2. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, target opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. So the kind of card I like, but have to admit is not great. More expensive Mind Rot that can be picked up, right? It can be picked up by Pixie and played again. Let's keep that in mind. And it can be blinked sometimes. You know, certain things can blink this. That's kind of cute. So better than a Mind Rot in that it is an enchantment. It's a permanent. So not too bad, but the attacks alone thing, Drain 1, you know, whatever. There are enchantments that cost 4 mana, several of them, that just drain the opponent once a turn. I love those enchantments they're not good. Those are never good. So this one kind of forces you to attack, and with one guy. That part of the card is not great, but ultimately I'm going to give this a 3.2. I think it's mostly a limited card and not even a super playable one at that, but there is a small chance that a standard deck like picks this up to play it again, pick it up, play it again, and just bomb the opponent out of cards, but I don't think we need to be doing that. Hydra Troopers is 3 mana, 2 and a black for a 3/2 human soldier villain. When it enters, you get to tap 2/1 villain with menace if there are 2 guys in your graveyard. If there aren't, you mill 2 cards anyway. So, okay, not too bad. If you do get the full 5 power on 2 bodies for 3 mana, that's on a common. Like that's, yeah, I'd play that in limited. 3.6. Hydraulic Helper is 2 mana for a 2/3 artifact creature defender. Tap it to add a blue. Can't be used to cast a non-artifact spell. So, only cast artifact spells. They keep rewording this ability every few years, I feel like. But still, you know, a rock for 2 mana. Taps for mana to cast artifacts. Nothing we haven't seen before. 3.1. I am, you know, it's not a great rock. I am Iron Man. Like the song. He says that in the song. 3 mana, 2 and a blue for an instant. Till end of turn, an artifact or creature becomes an artifact creature with base PT 4/4, gains flying, draw a card. So you use it on the 1 mana indestructible thing, nutrient block or whatever from Edge of Eternities. Still, I've never been a big fan of cards like these. Like, turn a guy into a 4/4, bang! Like, and not even in limited, I don't love these cards, but at least this one replaces itself by drawing a card. That said, 2.8. I just don't love these. Invisible Woman Sue Storm, 5 mana in white for a 2/5 legendary lifelink creature. Whenever you put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on 1 or more other heroes you control, you can create a 0/4 wall creature token with Defender. So you get walls when you put +1/+1 counters on heroes. It's not even once a turn. It's whenever you want to. That's kind of neat. But still, on that one, I guess that's a big You know, if you have +1/+1 counter synergies going in limited, it might be worth it, though. I will give this a 3. Well, I'll give this a 3.7. A little bit more than the average playable limited card, because making creatures is always something you want to do in that environment. Iron Fist's Living Weapon is 3 mana for a 2/3 cool commander. This is whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature you control. Fist gains tap. Iron Fist deals damage equal to its power to any other target until end of turn. So you want to put vigilance on him somehow so you can still attack with him. You know what I mean? But what you really want to do is increase his power through hopefully anthem effects of some kind, like things that stay on the board, right? But beyond that, maybe pump spells or something, you know, just get him to like 12 power and tap him to hit somebody in the face. Like Fire Fist him right in the jaw, you know? And that could be really fun in Commander. I don't think it's good in Standard whatsoever, but I think that could be really, really fun in Commander. So I'm looking to take it for a spin. I will give this a 4.3 for the fun Commander tags. Ironheart Clever Champion is a maybe good card. 5 mana, 4 and a blue for a 3/4 legendary artifact creature. With Improvise, it has flying. Non-creature spells you cast have Improvise. Chat. Chatsky. I need a sip anyway. You rate this card. I haven't asked you for one in a while. I got a feeling. I'm right there with Will.i.am and Fergie on this, because I got a feeling this could be a pretty decent card. So chat. Those in the chat, those about to rock, we salute you so long as you rate this card. What do you think of Ironheart? The potentially 1 mana 3/4 flyer that makes all of your other non-creatures cheap. What are we thinking? 900 out of 10, says Cousin Jason. All right, we do have a couple of disparate scores, we'll say. Let me throw this out here. Somber Hover Guard, right? Well, that goes 5 mana for a big flyer. Sometimes sees play in Affinity. There are Affinity guys with similar stats that see play, right? And those don't even really have text boxes. This has at least one line of real text in its text box. On the other hand, in those decks, in Affinity decks, you don't have to tap the artifacts, right? To help you right? You don't have to tap. You just play them. Just your existing artifacts, be they creatures or what. You don't have to go shields down to cast an artifact that has like affinity for artifacts. This you might have to. Now you might just have to tap clue tokens, treasure tokens, and stuff like that, you know. Creature here or there. But you might have to go shields down to really get this on the table. but I think you can get this on the table quickly. Now, I fell for Krang, and I still think Krang is a good card, but a similar card. Krang is much more expensive than this. This is far less. So, the other problem is, does the blue-red artifacts deck even want this card? Right? There's a lot of things I think that go into this. So, we got a 6 over here. We have the 900 out of 10. We got a 4 from Durangan. We got a 3 over here, finding the right limited deck, otherwise meh. I think a decently playable limited card is like a 3.5, and a bomb unlimited is like getting closer to a 4. Yeah, improvise is not affinity, Laugh Salt says. My real life cousin Jason is really on it though. It's gonna break formats. In older formats, this will be ridiculous. Yeah, I think there is a chance that in Vintage or something, or for that matter, Legacy, you know, like a format where you do play Moxen and stuff. Then yeah, card's crazy. But there are formats that include, you know, Mishra's Bauble, Urza's Bauble and stuff. You know, these 0-mana artifacts that you can play beyond just Legacy. So yeah, in formats like that, perhaps it's okay. So I do think this is a pretty good card, guys. I'm pretty sure that this is not like one of the best cards in the set or anything, but I think it's a fine Magic card. I'm going to give Ironheart a 6. I want to go higher, right? But I'm trying to learn a lesson here. So I'll give it a 6 and keep pushing. But if this card does better than that, I won't be surprised. Iron Lad Diverging Destiny is 3 mana for a 2/2 flying vigilance. Look at the top card of your library anytime. Tap it to reveal the top card of your library. If it's an artifact, draw it. Is how that's going to work most of the time. Looks cool, but at the end of the day is mostly normal. I'm going to give this a 3.6. Iron Man Armor is 3 mana for an equipment that equips for 2. When it enters, attach it to a creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+1, has flying, and you can pay 2. And if this equipment isn't a creature, it becomes a 0/0 construct with flying. And constructs work this way. This creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Now, that 2 mana ability lasts until end of turn, but is still pretty good if you just got a few artifacts laying around. Maybe your equipment deck just got swept, and this helps you play through the sweeper. So just for that reason, I think it probably needs to go in every commander equipment deck. Very likely. There are a few equipments that help with that, right? But this is another one, and I think it's a dang good one. If you got 7 equipment laying around, just swing for $1 million, right? So ultimately, I think this is good in that format and has a tiny chance in standard for like Simulacrum Synthesizer. You know, you give a token +2/+1 flying, get in with the gnome, or gnome, get in with a construct. Where you might not otherwise be able to. You know, trigger Synthesizer when it comes into play, gives you a free equip, and again, you get swept. Not really a problem. You know, you've still got Synthesizer and all the other 3 mana artifacts you played, so just turn this into a 7/7 and get in. Right? It's not that hard. It really isn't. So I think this card's kind of better than I initially evaluated it as, and I think it might even have a home in standard, like as a 1-of Silver Bullet, if nothing else. So. At least they recognize the armor isn't legendary. It's true. And that is honestly something that helps a little bit. That said, I don't know that you go more than a 1-of. I really don't. I'm still going to give this a 5.7. I think that it's pretty narrow to certain decks, but I think it's much better than it looks in those decks. Iron Man, Master of Machines is 4 mana, 2 red-blue for a 1/4 flying vigilance that gets +1/+0 for each other artifact you control. Whenever Iron Man attacks, if an artifact entered under your control, this turn, draw a card. So, again, free card a turn, and maybe he can get a little bit big, but, you know, I've seen a bunch of these guys. I have 5 artifacts in play, he's like a 6 power guy or something like that. So, he's fine. He's just fine. I will give him a 4.4. Jennifer Walters is crazy. This is 2 mana, 1 and a blue for a legendary human advisor hero. She's a 2/3. She has awesome heals, and opponent can't cast spells during your turn. It's a Grand Abolisher. It's a Voice of Victory. Opponents can't cast spells during your turn. But you also pay 3 green, double white to transform her at sorcery speed. It becomes She-Hulk. This is 6 mana. You can just play it out of your hand if you'd rather do it this way. Same cost. For a 6/6 reach trample. Opponent can't cast spells during your turn. Cough button. Yeah, I had a scratch in my throat there. Same ability. Opponent can't cast spells during your turn. It's got reach and trample. Whenever a creature you control is dealt damage, you may have She-Hulk deal that much damage to any target. Do this only once each turn. So, We have here a Grand Abolisher that is cheaper to cast, is a 2/3. Pretty cool. That's just good. It really doesn't matter what else the card does. It's good, right? So, also having the ability to transform into or play a game-ending 6/6 creature. With the same ability, by the way, it's still Grand Abolisher. 2 good keywords. And specifically this ability, whenever any creature, not She-Hulk, whenever any creature we control is dealt damage. Once a turn, we can have She-Hulk deal that damage back to anything. She can take out a creature, she can hit face, you know. This is one of the best cards in the set. I will tell you that right now. If this isn't the best competitive card in the set, it's probably the lands. but I'm pretty sure that this might be the top of the mountain. So I'm going to also give this card an 8.5. I'll give it an 8.6. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, just a nice 5th and 6th copy of Voice. Yeah, that's the thing, is it's legendary, so it's probably worse than Voice a lot of the time. But I find that this probably has a lot more late game relevance than a Voice will ever, you know? So I think Jennifer Walters is pretty good. Let me say that. Just say that, baby. I think Jennifer Walters is crazy. One of the best cards in the set. Definitely the best mythic that I can remember off the top of my head. So we're going to give JWO a... Yeah, I'll give her 8.6. We'll stick there. Jessica Jones. From Jennifer to Jessica. This is she's a private eye. 3 mana in red for a 2/3. You can tap her to put a stun counter on her and exile the top X of your library, X being her power. Play those cards this turn, so you don't get to the end of your next turn, just this turn. But this is still, it's kind of an exert ability, right? This is still like every other turn, draw 2 at the very least. If you play a pump spell on her first, just like a 1 mana +3 thing, right? There's a lot of those. Then suddenly you draw 5 cards. It could be good, man. I think this could be just like a playable card in mono red commander, like period. So I like her. I think she's like way better than she looks. I'm going to give this card you guys are going to be like, what? I'm going to give this card a 5.8. I don't think that this is standard playable, like at all, like period. Don't think of standard. But I think in Commander, a 3 mana thing that kind of just draws 2 every other turn or more, right? It could easily draw more cards than that. That's pretty good, actually. It's a pretty good engine in red, so I like it. Justice Vance Astrovic is 3 mana in blue for a 2/2 flyer. When it enters, return a non-land, non-token permanent to its owner's hand. And whenever another non-land permanent you control is bounced to owner's hand, put a +1/+1 counter on Justice. Fine Mana War variant here. We're just going to give it a 3.7. Kang, Temporal Tyrant over here. This is 4 mana, 2 blue-black for a 3/4 legendary villain. Whenever he attacks, he connives. And here's the cool part. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. So obviously it's not like Quasar. You know, it's just like whenever you draw a card, drain everybody. That card's good. But this is still like cute. If nothing else, it's very cute. And whenever it attacks, obviously should trigger itself, you know. So I don't know. I kind of like it in limited, but it doesn't go too far beyond that. 3.75. Play it there. Kang the Conqueror. This is 4 mana, 2 double blue for a 4/5 flying with power up for 8 mana, 3 of it blue. Put a +1/+1 counter on Kang. Take an extra turn after this one, and then during that turn, power up abilities can't be activated. So they know that you just can blink him or return him to your hand, play him again, and power him up. That you just cannot power up anything, including another copy of Kang on the next turn. So that's very clever of them to do that. So you can't find a way to like engineer infinite turns. But altogether, it says take an extra turn after this one, so it must be hype, right? Nah, not really. I'll give it like a 4. I'm just not fooled by these anymore. I'll give it a 4.3. I'll respect its rate a little bit, you know. 4 mana, 4/5 flyer is okay. Khazar of the Savage Land is 5 mana, 4 and a green for a 3/2. Look at the top card of your library anytime. Play lands from the top of your library if you feel like it. And when Khazar enters, create Zabu, a legendary 2/2 cat with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on Zabu. So, I mean, for 5 mana, that's a lot, right? But look at everything this does. It's like they keep giving us these commander cards with like commander text boxes that you want to play in commander, and then making them like 1.5 mana more than you really want to pay for them, but I still think they're pretty decent, dude. This card's cool. I'm going to give it like a 4.9. I think it's actually pretty sick. Seriously. But Kid Loki is cool, dude. Is this playable? A single blue mana for a 1/1. Each creature you control that you put one or more +1/+1 counters on this turn has hexproof, including Loki. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Kid Loki. So that second ability is cool. You know, I draw 2 cards in a turn. He's a 2/2, then a 3/3, then a 4/4 for a 1 mana investment. And it's not like I'm like doing something I wouldn't want to do in order to grow him. Like, I'm drawing cards to grow him. I want to do that every time anyway. You can put +1/+1 counters on him at instant speed by drawing extra cards to give him hexproof. You can just like use effects that put counters on him to give him hexproof, like at instant speed. And obviously this works for your whole team. It's not heroes, it's not villains, it's each creature you control that you can just slap a +1/+1 counter on at will. That also means you can provide hexproof at will. And for 1 mana, bro, it's like a little bit dangerous. I think the card's pretty good. I'm going to be brave. I'm not going to ask chat to rate this card. I'm just going to give this a 6.2. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to be a brave boy. Jose Pitt, thank you for the follow just now. I appreciate that. And Walkley, thanks for your Prime sub. Oh yeah, I talked to you. Thanks again. I appreciate it. Fuzznuts, thanks for your gifted subs. I said that earlier too. I just want to say Fuzznuts again. Killmonger, Scourge of Wakanda's 4 mana in Golgari for a 3/3. When it enters, you may sack another creature. When you do, destroy target non-land permanent an opponent controls. That is Sky Fisher Spider, I want to say. As long as there are 2 or more other creatures in your yard, Killmonger gets +2/+1. So you might have a 5/4 that blows something up when it enters. That's definitely fine. I'm going to give Killmonger a 4.1. I think this is almost decent. Kingpin's Enforcers is 3 mana in black for a 2/3 with lifelink. Pay 3 mana, sack an artifact or creature to draw a card. Very normal, 3.3. King Chala is a very powerful card. 3 mana, 1 white blue for a 3/2 flash. Whenever a player draws their second card each turn, you get to draw a card. That's just Fairy Mastermind. That counts you too. That's pretty good. You can pay 6 mana to transform at instant speed, or sorcery speed rather. I mean, much better if it was instant. Or you can just pay 6 mana out of your hand for Black Panther, Hope Enduring, 4 white blue for a 3/3 flash double strike. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to Panther. Whenever Black Panther deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Remember, he has double strike, so some Drog Skull Reaver vibes a little bit, right? That's not bad. 6 damage a turn. You can flash him in too, so that's a decent like option for a control finisher of some kind. That ain't bad, baby. But on the first half, obviously, this can draw you a lot of cards. This can draw you so many cards. You can flash it in when you draw your second card in a turn to draw the card. So cool. Whenever you draw your second card, draw a third card. That's a pretty good card too. I'm gonna give this. God, what do we give Jennifer? What do we give J-Law? An 8.6. I'm gonna give King Chala an 8.4. I think this card's wild. Really, even for 3 mana, I think this card's pretty wild, dude. Claw, Sonic Subjugator is 3 mana in black for a 2/2 with Sonic Attack. When Claw enters, target player reveals a number of cards from their hand equal to 1 plus the number of dudes in your yard. Choose one of those cards. Player discards it. So if you have 3 guys in your yard, look at 3 cards out of their 5-card hand and choose one. See how that works. This isn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but you're not playing it in standard. 3.5. 3.9. I'll go all the way up to that. These cards can be decent sometimes, but altogether, really. You gotta enable it. It's not going to be good on turn 3 most of the time, unless you get a really good mill on 2 with Overlord of the Baelmerk. It's probably not worth playing. 3.75. We'll split the difference. Knight of Vundagor is 2 mana, 1 and a green for a 2/1 Cat Knight villain. With trample. Whenever you put a +1/+1 counter on another guy, put a +1/+1 counter on this guy, but only once each turn. Womp womp. But still cool. Still cool for +1/+1 counter decks. It doesn't cost that much to cast. It's common, so you can play it in Pauper. It probably goes in a lot of those decks that care about counters and stuff. It's got trample too. Just, I don't know. Kind of like this guy. I'm going to give him a 4.85. Kree Commandos is 3 mana in white for a 2/1 flying vigilance prowess. That's the entire card. Solid, honestly. Solid limited card, really. 4. Kree Sentinel is 5 mana in red for a 5/5 reach. Basic land cycling 2. That's a 3.5. Kunlun Warrior is 2 mana, 1 in a red for a 2/2. When this enters, you may sacrifice an artifact or discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. I get the feeling that this was supposed to be like Demand Answers. There's another card in the set, I think, that's like Demand Answers, basically a functional reprint. And if this was a body that did that, you know, sacrifice an artifact, discard a card, draw 2, we would be having so many fun talks right now, but that's not what this is. So it's just okay. 3.75. Leader Super Genius is 4 mana for a 1/3. If a creature you control would connive, instead draw a card, and then that creature connives. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control connives. So you, at the beginning of basically every turn, you get 2 extra cards. You got to pitch one of them, but you get 2 extra cards every turn because of this guy. That's a pretty good start. I'm going to give him a 5.3. I think he's all right. Lightning Strike. What do you give Lightning Strike? 5. Loki, God of Mischief, is 2 mana in blue for a 2/1. Whenever a player or permanent becomes the target of an ability you control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. So only abilities, not spells. I want this to be so good, but I actually, the more I look at it, the more I have a feeling it's not. The more I look at this, the more I think, you know, so they did give you a big spread of things that you can target with your abilities, but altogether, especially the once a turn, means you're never drawing your deck off of it or whatever. So I think it could potentially be very strong in Commander. I don't know if I'm feeling it in Standard for that matter, but maybe strong in Standard, but the maybe is holding me back. I'm actually going to give Loki a 5.35 here because I have some faith in this ability, but I'm not going any higher than that. I think a lot of people might put this in the 7s. I honestly don't think so, but we'll see. Loki Lawfason is 3 mana, 1 and a red for a 2/1. You pay 1 and tap it. Next time you cast an instant or sorcery, mana value less than or equal to Loki's power this turn. Copy that spell. Choose new targets with a copy. Power up for 5 mana. Lokes gets 2+, Tone Loke gets 2+1/+1 counters. So obviously if you power it up, he can cast like 3 big scores and like 4 mana stuff. That's pretty good. But just dry. He recasts a lot of bolts, you know, removal spells and direct damage spells and stuff like that. So I think even dry, this guy's pretty fun. Probably not super standard playable. I hate to say it, but I think he's closer to standard playability than you might think. But we get to Commander, I think this guy, you can have a lot of fun in the 99 of some stuff with this, or even as your Commander in like a burn deck. You know, we're playing like a budget pile. Cool stuff altogether. At least he's not like the average, just attack with your guy's red card. So I like him. Cool Commander text is going to make me push a 5 on this guy. I think it's kind of okay. Los Diablos Missile Base gains a life when it comes into play. It's a 4.5. Luke Cage Power Man is 4 mana in white for a 2/5 with Unbreakable Skin. When he attacks alone, he gets +2/+0 and Indestructible until end of turn. So this is the guy you want to attack with in your Exalted deck in Limited, but I don't really think it goes farther than that. 3.75, it's a signpost. Machine Smith Automaton. No, we'll give it a 3.85. Machine Smith Automaton, 3 mana in red for a 2/2 trample artifact creature. Whenever another artifact you control enters, this guy gets a +1/+1 counter. Doesn't say non-token or anything like that, so kind of neat with the trample. I think there's something there. 4.5. Madam Hydra. This is 4 mana in Rakdos for a 2/3. Whenever you cast a villain, you get a 2/1 villain with Menace. Incredible limited signpost card. Probably not standard playable. Costs a little bit too much mana. You got to untap with it. You got to have more villains. You got to play villains in your deck, and they're not all great. So like, there's a lot of reasons the card's not competitive, but in Limited, let's kind of go crazy with this. Signpost 4.1. Madam Mask is 5 mana in black for a 3/2. When she enters, she connives. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, you get a 2/1 villain with Menace. You get another one of these guys. So, yet another creature factory for the 2/1 menaces. I'm going to like those in Limited every time. That's a 4 as well. Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards is 4 mana, 3 and a blue for a 2/4 reach. Whenever one or more tokens you control enter, you can draw a card. Anytime? You draw it anytime, dude. In blue, where I got Talrons, I got Mins, I got Murmuring Mystics, I got Mischievous Mystics, I got Dika, Fractal Theorists, I got. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many dudes that, whenever you cast a non-creature spell or an instant or something like that, here's a dude. There's so many guys. So, and that's just in blue. You know, what if we're playing Sokka? from the Avatar set. You know, that thing's Jeskai and makes tokens when you cast non-creatures. So now it's whenever you cast a non-creature spell, make a token, draw a card. Jeez Louise, dude. Like, that's a good commander card. For an uncommon, that's pretty good, dude. I'm going to give Reed a 6. I mean, at least. I don't care about 4 mana. I'm actually going to give Reed like a 6.2. Like, that's a really good uncommon. Even if it's just for commander, that's not standard playable. Even if it's just for commander, I think Reed's like pretty good, dude. Seriously. I'll say it again. I'll repeat myself. Mr. Hyde, monster within is 3 mana in green for a 2/2. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose 1. He gets a +1/+1 counter, or remove a counter from a creature you control. If you do, draw a card. Again, dude, like, budget commander playable in your +1/+1 counter decks, draws an extra card most turns, or just gets larger, but not a very high impact inclusion most of the time. Still cool, though. I'm going to give this guy a 4. That's sure. Misty Knight, my favorite name for a character in the set that I wasn't aware was already a name for a character. Misty Knight is awesome. She's a hero for hire. She costs 2 mana in red for a 3/1. You can pay 2, tap or discard a card, draw a card for each card you've discarded this turn. Really neat with wheel effects. And there's a bunch of those in Commander, obviously. So I like her, dude. I like a lot about this. I'm going to give this a 4.4, and I want to give it a higher score than that, but I just don't think it's quite there even in Commander, but I think it's cool. Mjolnir, Hammer of Thor, costs too much. It's 4 mana, 3 and a red for legendary equipment. When it enters, it deals 4 damage to up to 1 target creature. Double all damage equipped creature would deal. Equip worthy for 1. What does that mean? Equip worthy. A creature is worthy if it's a legendary non-villain that's red and or white. It also has this other ability, 3 mana, discard it from your hand to deal 2 damage to each creature. This is a pretty good card. I do think that casting it costs 1 mana too much. I think it should be 3 to cast and 3 to use the ability, but who am I? I'm not a professional game designer. You know what I mean? That said, the equip cost on this is crazy low. Sure, it can only be equipped to a few things, but yeah, plenty of good targets. Plenty of good targets to equip this to. It doesn't even double the power toughness of the creature. Double all damage equipped creature would deal is way better, especially on a creature that naturally already has double strike or trample or whatever, right? So keep that in mind. But removal spell or pyroclasm, right? On something that can just win the game on just like a slick shot show off, or, you know, like, that's pretty good. So ultimately, yeah, more than fine card here. Great mythic. I'm going to give it a 7.5, right? Not an 8 territory like some of the stuff we've seen so far, but 7.5 for sure. Next is Mockingbird Ace Agent. This here is 4 mana, 3 and a red for a 2/2 double strike. Whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature you control, bird gets a +1/+1 counter. Pretty good considering the double strike, right? So I'm actually going to give this a 3.9. I think that this is very good and limited. I think it's worth on a 4 mana 2/2s don't seem worth it. This one, all right. Doesn't only trigger once a turn or anything. I think this is fine. Modok is 5 mana, 3 double black for a 2/2 flying lifelink with Mental Organism. Pay 3 life. Modok Connives. Activate only during your turn. But Modok is also designed only for killing creatures your opponents control. Get -1/-1. Combine that with Maha, Its Feathers Knight. Opponent just can't have creatures on the table. It's very cute. It's a cute combination. But aside from that, I mean, you could do that in standard, but it sounds commandery to me. This feels like they wanted it to be like a really bad version of a Yavim's Bargain style card, right? A Necro style card, where you're paying life to kind of draw cards, but you're paying a lot of life, 3 times as many life points, to not even draw. You're conniving. So just a really bad version of those cards, but even a bad version is okay. You know, it's got lifelink. It can get larger by conniving, so it'll get you more life back with the lifelink. Creatures your opponents control get -1 is really also, you know, like a Send an Evancar or something. That's not bad. So altogether, really cool creature here, but probably costs a little bit too much for standard. But cool, really cool dude here. So I'm going to give this a 6.1 just because he's so cool. You know what I mean? I think he's that good. Here's an actually good card. Mole Man Moloid Master is 3 mana in green for a 1/1. You may play land cards from your graveyard. Okay. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you get a 1/1 minion named Moloid with whenever this token attacks. You may choose to mill a card. dang. I mean, I've talked about commander playability on a few cards, more than a few, already in the set review. But this is probably in the top 5 main set cards for commander. It's a ramming up excavator. Everybody likes ramming up excavator. It's the same exact casting cost. And if you want to, you compare it to like Crucible of Worlds, right? It's one of those. Those cards are always valuable. The landfall, though, a 1/1 guy with extra text, right? Like text that's relevant with like Ice Till Explorer, you know? But even without the extra text, landfall, make a guy and play lands from your yard for 3 mana. It's awesome. Like, how good does it work with fetches? Like, with fetches, it actually makes 2 guys, basically. That's crazy. And yeah, it's legendary. It is legendary. That kind of sucks, but, you know, when we're talking about commander, it doesn't really matter too much. So, yeah, I think this is a very good Magic card. I'm going to give this an 8.2. I really am. This goes in every commander landfall deck. Forever. I mean, forever. It goes in all of them. It just goes in any land deck, period. It's very good. Monica Rambeau is 3 mana, 2 and a white for a 3/3 flying prowess. You can pay 5 mana in Boros to transform her at sorcery speed. Or you can just pay 5 mana out of your hand. 2 red, double white for a 4/4 legendary creature with flying, hexproof, and prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature that you control. I think this card is okay. I have a hard time believing this card is truly standard playable. I really do. I don't love the front side at all because it's just like a 3 mana, 3/3 flying prowess. That's not super exciting. That's like limited-ish, honestly. It's fine, but it's limited-ish. On the other hand, Photon, a 5 mana flying hexproof prowess. Okay. Dang, you know, like that. There was a time where that was a lot more standard playable. So I'm actually going to give this like a 5.4 because I have my thoughts. I have my thoughts about this. I think it's okay, but also kind of like Moon Girl and Double Dinosaur, MG and the DD are 3 mana, 1 green blue for a 2/2. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, till end of turn, this becomes a 6/6 and it gains trample. Whenever an artifact you control enters, draw a card once a turn. So you'll note that if you play an artifact, you'll draw a card, and that should make this a 6/6 trample. So that's a way to get a Colossal Dreadmaw at half price that also draws you cards. The more I look at this card, the more I'm like, man, you're good, right? You're good. Like, you're at least okay, dude. Like, not too hard to make this a 3 mana 6/6 trampler that draws an extra card every turn. Really not hard. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and call this a 6.2. Because, like, damn. Like, I really think there's something here, guys. I really do. Moonstone, Harsh Mistress. I know a lot about Moonstone Island. Play a lot of Moonstone Island on my Switch. Solid game. Kind of like Stardew Valley meets Pokemon. That's meets Slay the Spire. It's a fantastic game. Moonstone, however, is just kind of cool. 4 mana in black for a 2/4 flyer. Whenever you discard a card, you can exile that card from your yard. If you do, till the end of your next turn, play the card. So I like how this is worded. It's like whenever you discard a card, instead exile that card. It doesn't say instead or anything. Just exile the card from your yard after it's been discarded. So all your stuff that triggers on discarding like still works, you know? All the stuff that triggers on a card leaving your graveyard still works. That's pretty cool. So I don't know. I kind of like it. Reserves your discards to be played later. It's kind of weird that not enough cards like that exist. I think this one might be a little bit expensive, but I still think it's cool. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a 5. Yeah. I keep wanting to say like 4.75, but I think there are more than a few commander decks that want this. I really do. So I like it. Next is Mountain. That's a 5. Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan is 3 mana, 2 and a blue for a 1/4 Vigilant Reach. You have no maximum hand size. And whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature you control, draw a card. Good start. Until end of turn, Ms. Marvel gains Ms. Marvel's base power is now equal to the number of cards in your hand. Yeah. At least the Mountain isn't legendary. That's true. That's true. But I think this is a really neat Brawl commander. And maybe even a really neat Pants commander. If you absolutely have to put Pants on, it's a good one to leave the house with, man. This could be like a 7/7 pretty easily. No maximum hand size. It's pretty good. And obviously, if you target a creature with a spell you control, draw a card is just a really fun ability. That's so much fun, dude. Say, target my guy, draw, target my guy, draw a thing that makes me target my guy. And then I draw another thing where I target my guy. And I play that. It's just so you're having fun. That's why we play Magic, is to cast spells over and over and over. That's why Spellslinger's a fun archetype. So I'm going to give this a lot of fun commander tax and give it a 5.1. I think it's cool. Multiversal Incursion. Irma, Gerd Goosebumps. It's a multiversal incursion. It's 7 mana, 5 double blue for a sorcery. For each non-token creature you control, you get a token that's a copy of it, except it's not legendary. Is this the 9th time they printed this card? I swear to God. Even removing the legendary doesn't really make me that impressed by this. I'm just going to give it like a... I just give it like a 5. Can I just be sure that someone will play this at some point? It'll win a game in Commander. Murdoch's Crusade is 2 mana and white for a sorcery with teamwork 4. Choose 1 if you teamwork. Guess what? Street Justice. Exile target creature, toughness 4 or greater, or Legal Justice. Exile an enchantment, mana value 4 or greater. Might be a little bit tough to find the targets for both modes, but I guess if you do, it's a fine Magic card. I'm going to give this a 4. Namor the Submariner is 3 mana for a mythic merfolk villain. This is star 4 with flying. Namor's power is equal to the number of merfolk you control. Whenever you cast a non-creature with 1 or more blue mana symbols in its mana cost, you get that many blue merfolk creature tokens. I love this card so much. I really do. I again, can't say this is standard playable for sure, because 3 mana is kind of a lot in current standard for a card you have to untap to do stuff with, right? So I want to have more faith than I do there. But obviously, in other formats that shall remain unnamed, because you know the ones I'm talking about, this is a ridiculous Magic cards. You like making tokens and having fun while you do it, play some Namor. So I am going to give this a 6.7. Like a 6.7 right off the rip, and I think it could be better than that. But we'll move on to Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, really, 60 counter spells. Yep. Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a single white mana for a 2/1 with power up for Wooburg. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on Nick, then look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put a hero, equipment, or vehicle from among those onto the field. If it's a double face card, you can transform it. Put the rest on the bottom in a random order. This looks better to me than just random Wooburg like commander. You know? It is a Savannah Lions that once you pump 5 mana into it, it becomes a 4 power creature for your initial investment. 4 power creature that can potentially put something huge on the table. It can whiff too, but potentially put something really big onto the table. And of course, if you just have 5 mana and you draw them off the top of your library, you can power them up. Cool, right? So again, better than it looks, I think, in standard. I'm being serious. We'll see how good it actually is, but I'm going to give this guy a 5.7. I'm serious. I think he's all right. Night Nurse, Healer of Hopes. Is this Anne Hathaway? Is this character played by Anne Hathaway, or am I... She played by somebody else. But anyway, 2 mana, 1 and a white for a 2/1 flash lifelink. When Night Nurse enters, choose target permanent card in your graveyard that got there this turn from anywhere. Return it to your hand instead. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm going to give this card a 5. This is like almost playable. Seriously. Ninja of the Hand is 3 mana, 2 and a black for a 2/2 with Death Touch. Powers up for 5 mana. Each opponent discards a card. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So you got the Foot Clan from the TMNT set. And now you have the hand in this set. That's, at least it's adorable. Not a great card, though. 3.1. Okoye is 4 mana, 3 and a white for a 3/2. Whenever it enters, you get 2 1/1 white soldier guys. And attacking creature tokens you control have first strike. That's not too bad, I guess, but it ain't too much better than a 4, to be honest. Origin of the Avengers is 2 mana, 1 and a white for a saga. On Chapter 1, scry 2. Chapter 2, put a hero creature card, mana 3 or less, from your hand onto the field. If you don't get to do that, you get to draw a card instead. Chapter 3, put a +1/+1 counter on each guy you control. This might be okay. Seriously, this might be a standard playable card in like the hero deck, But I don't have that much faith at the end of the day. This is like sleeper territory without actually being a card that I think is that great. So number 8 on the sleepers list. It's like something, I haven't made the list yet. That's what it smacks of to me, But I will give this card a 4.3. I want to have more faith in it than that, but I can, dang it. We'll give it a 4.75. I think we're on our way with the card. Panther Pounce is a single white mana for an instant. Target player investigates. Target creature gets +1/+0 till end of turn and gains flying. Untap it. That's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff for a single mana. Even kind of replaces itself in your hand. But not super amazing either. I'll just give this like a 2.5. Patriot Shield Wielder is 2 mana in white for a 2/2. Pay 2, tap it. Another creature you control gets +2/+0 against hexproof till end of turn. Really not Mother of Runes. Like super not Mother of Runes, but still limited playable for sure. I'll give this a 4. Pet Avengers. It's the boys. Look at the boys. This is a... Did I miss this card? Was I unaware this card existed? This is 4 mana, 3 and a green for a 4/4. Dragon, cat, dog, bird, frog hero. With reach. Power up for 7 mana. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Create a 3/2 white hero creature token with vigilance. So it's pretty bad, all things considered, but you still get a 4 mana 4/4 with a keyword ability. So whatever. It has a power up ability it doesn't have to have. This is really neat with the guy. What's that guy's name? You know, he gives creatures like +2/+2 for all their separate non-human creature types or whatever it is. As long as they're not a human, it gets +2/+2 for each type. So this gets what? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. This gets +12/+12 with Diligent Zookeeper, says Ren Matthew. Yeah, so that's hilarious. I want to do that. I'll play that on stream or something. All these are very good boys, but I can't give them more than like a 3.2. The card's not actually that good, but yeah, Spider Pig. Throw Spider Pig in there. Let's go. Yeah, Spider Pig works with a lot of these creature types, doesn't it? But anyway, Photon Blast Barrage is the card, my nominee for most likely to be reskinned in the Dragon Ball Z Secret Lair. Double red and X for a sorcery. When you cast this spell, copy it X times. You may choose new targets for the copies. Photon Blast Barrage deals 1 damage to target creature. Can I like this? You guys all right if I like this? I think this actually does so much, right? I think it's crazy with Magecraft. Magecraft is whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell. So if you copy this, if X equals 6, if X equals 4, like you get to Magecraft 4 times. That's, I don't know, like just that is cool to me. So I'm going to give this card like a sneaky 4, even though it looks like kind of bad. You know, I think it's okay. Political Triumph is a single white mana for a plan enchantment. Whenever a creature you control enters, scry 1, put a plan counter on this. When the 4th plan counter is put on this, sack it, draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. I think this is a trap. I've seen a lot of people tell me this is probably good, but you skip your turn 1 in your aggro deck, right? So you're putting off attacking and all that. Don't love it. It doesn't really go off until like turn 5 in your aggro deck. Okay. There are things I want to like about this. I really do, but I feel like I'm smelling a piece of cheese, and if I take that cheese, something will break my tail. Let me just put it that way. So I don't think it's as good as it might look here. I'm going to give it a 4 though. Gonna give it a 4. Powerful Broker is 3 mana, 2 and a green for a 3/3. You can tap it in for each kind of counter on a permanent or player. Give that permanent or player another counter of that kind at sorcery speed. So, sneaky poison card. You put this in the poison decks, but also I guess works with planeswalkers and +1/+1 counters. Just cute little card. I'll give it a 4.2. Project Deathlock Soldier. I always want to say Deathclock. It's Metalocalypse. A single black mana for a 1/2 artifact guy. He's also a zombie soldier. Pay 2 mana and a black to return this guy from your yard to your hand. So it's just Sanitarium Skeleton, but an artifact. That's pretty good. 3.3. Punishing Punch is 3 mana, 2 and a green for an instant. It's my favorite drink, Punishing Punch. It costs 2 less to cast if there are 2 or more creature cards in your yard. A creature you control deals damage equal to twice its power to a creature an opponent controls. So, also kind of neat. I mean, 1 mana for this at instant speed. That mode's pretty good if you got a couple of guys, but I don't think it's actually worth putting in most standard decks when you just play, removal that isn't this. So I'm going to give this a 4, though. I think it's very good and limited. Pim Particles, a single blue mana for a sorcery. Target creature gains vigilance until end of turn and cannot be blocked this turn. Draw a card. So there's a card in standard like this that just doesn't give vigilance, so it's a strictly better version of that card, and the art is awesome. Some of the better art in the set. I really truly believe that. But I'm gonna give this a 4. I really like stuff like this so much. 1 mana, draw a card, go unblocked. Let's go. Pim Technologies is a lane gain lifeland. 8.5. A lane Geifland, I was gonna say. Quake, Agent of Shield is a neat uncommon. 3 mana in white for a 3/3. Seismic Takedown. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, tap target creature or land. Tap target or land by casting non-creatures. This is an incredibly dangerous and annoying line of text, as we've said. So I'm going to give this like a 5.5 because I'm super scared of it. I know it looks super slow and lame, and like it doesn't have keyword abilities beyond the ability that it has, right? So this is probably a false alarm, right, on my part. But cast op, tap a land down during your upkeep looks so muy peligroso. Cuidado, hombre. Muy peligroso. Please be careful. So I'm going to give this 5.5. I respect that ability. Seriously. Quicksilver Brash Blur is awesome. A single red mana for a 1/1 if it's in your opening hand. Just throw him on the table to begin the game. He also has haste and power up for 5 mana. He gets +1/+1 counter and a double strike counter as well. So if he needed to have any more relevance in the late game, I guess he does. You draw him late. Come on in for 4 damage off the top of your library post sweeper. Okay, but obviously leyline ability is what pulls me to this. I have given this an 8+ before. I'm sticking to it. 8.2. I think this is an incredible mono red creature that honestly, guys, I kind of want to give this a 9. I'm editing myself. I think especially mono red decks in far back formats probably have ways that to make this insane, right? I'm just assuming. So a free creature in those formats is probably nasty, but a free creature in standard also crazy. So I just think you start with this and any other 1-drop creature, you know, Fanatical Firebrand, swing 2 on turn 1. Or you start on like the thing from Ether Drift. Why can't I remember his name right now? But you know, he gets speed. When your speed goes up to 4, he gets double strike. You can exhaust him. He's like a 1-mana 1/1 with menace. You know, that Burnout Bastronaut, it hit my brain right as soon as I finished reading the card in my own head. But yeah, like this guy plus Bastronaut turn 1, increase your speed. You know, that's, well, not necessarily, but still, stop it, Dev. Stop talking about this card. I really think there are crazy things in all kinds of formats you can do with just a free creature. Do not discount the power of it. I will stop at an 8.2. Would not be surprised if it was better than that. Raft Security Officer. 2 mana, 1 and a white for a 1/3. Pay 2 mana, tap a creature. If this ability costs 1 less to activate, if it targets a 3 power creature or less. So typical limited tapper here. I'll just give this a 3.2. Rapid Rescue is a single green mana for an instant. Mill 2. Put a permanent card among the milled cards in your hand. You gain 2 life. That's just Seed of Hope. Just play Seed of Hope instead. I'm going to give Seed of Hope a 3.6. Red Guardian Super Soldier is 3 mana in white for a 2/2 with flash. When it enters, destroy a creature an opponent controls that dealt damage this turn. To you, a creature you control, it really doesn't matter if it dealt damage to anything. It's finito. I kind of like that, man. 4. Red Hulk is neat. 6 mana, 4 double red for a 6/7 reach trample. Enrage. Whenever Red Hulk's dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on him. When you do, he deals damage equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on him to any other target. So if he's got a bunch of counters on him, he can just like blow someone away. That's pretty cute. He can hit creatures if you want him to. And for all that, he is a strictly better Colossal Dreadmaw, color shifted, right? 6 mana with an extra point of toughness, an extra keyword ability, and an extra actual mechanic that's really, really good. So kind of awesome. He just costs too much mana. I'm still going to give him a 4. I'd play this guy in limited every day. Next is Red Room Recruit. 2 mana, 1 black for a 1/2. When it enters, it connives. Fine card, 3.3. Reptile Dynamorpher is a single green mana for a 1/1 with Brontosaurus. Pay 3 mana, it becomes a 3/5 Vigilant Reach to EOT. Pay 6 mana, on the other hand, it becomes a 6/6 Trample until end of turn. So cool limited 1-drop that is yet another way to booty screw, I guess we'll say, to booty screw a Colossal Dreadmaw into that environment. There's a lot of them in this set, but I still like it. 1-drops that have relevance and become mana sinks later, I'm always going to support a little bit. So 3.7. Repulsor Blast, 4 mana, 3 and a red for a sorcery. Teamwork 2, 5 damage to a guy. If you cast it using Teamwork, you also get to blast the opponent's face for 2 damage. That's kind of neat, I guess, but not great. 3.2. Restorative Technique is 3 mana, 2 and a green for a sorcery. A player gains 2 life, searches their library for a basic, throw it onto the table, shuffle up, put a +1/+1 counter on up to one target creature. That's a lot of stuff, but none of it's that impressive. Even put all together, I'll give the card a 3.7. Rewrite History is 3 mana, 2 and a blue for a plain enchantment. Whenever one or more creatures you control become tapped, draw a card, then discard a card, put a plain counter on this. When you put the 4th plain counter on it, sack it. When you do, return up to 2 instant or sorceries from your yard to their hand. You probably discarded them earlier. Very likely. Cool card, though. A fair amount of churn in limited. And the ability to bring back removal spells or big bomb spells is always good there, too. So keep an eye out for it there, but probably nowhere else. I'll give this a 4.2, however. Rick Jones. Who? Rick Jones. Destined Sidekick. A single green mana for a 0/3. You can pay 3, tap, and mill 4. Put a hero or enchantment from among those cards into your hand. 3 mana. This guy looks like MatPat, right? He's even got the jacket. But, like, am I crazy? Is that like MatPat smile, MatPat eyes, dumb MatPat, wavy hair with a stupid red jacket? I like MatPat. I miss MatPat. Either way, this he does to me. This is oh, you guys don't know. You guys don't see him. You guys don't see him. My head's in the way. But yeah, that looks a distinctly MatPat look to me. Either way, draws a card every turn in limited if you need the mana sink. And that's pretty good on a 1-drop in limited. So I'll take it, I guess. I'm going to give MatPat a 3.7. You know, I like a card draw engine sometimes. Anyway, yeah, that's just a 1-drop, a legendary 1-drop. That's what I like. Yeah, wow, yeah, he really does. I told you. He really looks an awful lot like him. Robot Domination is 4 mana, 3 and a black for a plain enchantment. Whenever one or more creature cards are put into your yard from anywhere, draw a card, lose a life, put a plan counter on this. Whenever the 3rd plan counter is put on this guy, sack it, create 3 2/2s. Okay, so 4 mana is probably 1 too much for this, as is usual on some of these plans, on some of these cards. I feel like a lot of them cost 1 too much. But you are drawing 3 cards off of this. Okay. And you're getting 3 2/2s. Card's fine. You know, card's kind of fine. I'll give it a 5.1. I'm serious. Card's okay. Ronin Shadowstalker is 3 mana in black for a 3/3. Pay 2 life to add 2 mana of any one color. Spend that mana only to cast equipments or activate equip abilities. And of course, you only activate that once each turn. Tap and sacrifice an equipment attached to Ronin, and a creature gets -4/-4 till in a turn at sorcery speed. This is so cool. This is actually kind of cool. Like, free mana for life is powerful. You can't get around that. Free mana for life. Not 3 mana. Free mana for life. Not for life, 2 life. But you see what I'm saying? I could keep this bit up if you wanted me to, but you probably don't want me to. That's good, period. Even if you can only spend it on equips or whatever, awesome. Okay. And then he just removes guys. Like, I've got a random crappy equipment sitting around. Like, sure, get rid of this. And that guy that I hate so much. This is sick a little bit. This is slightly sick. I'm going to give this a 5. Mostly because, like, yeah, but who's on first? I knew someone would say it. But I'm going to give this a 5. Mostly because, like, I think it's a fun commander. Mono black equipments or something. Roxanne Brutes is 5 mana in black for a 4/4 menace. Whenever you draw your second card, each turn this gets +1/+1 counter any basic land cycles for 2. Big meaty guy you can finish the game with, especially if you're on theme with this. Not bad. Basic land cycling. Cool. 3.5. Savage Land Dinosaur. Did somebody say Colossal Dreadmaw? Again, this is Colossal Dreadmaw with an extra point of power and also basic land cycling. So played it pre-release, I guess. How many Colossal Dreadmaws makes it so much that, like, it's not worth it to play a Colossal Dreadmaw? Or is it an arms race where everyone has to play as many Colossal Dreadmaws as they possibly can? I'm not really sure how this limited environment works. Either way, it's not legendary. That's cool. But good card, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and give this like a 4. Seriously, like a 4.1 even. Basic land cycling is good on a big dinosaur. Scientist Supreme of Aim right here is 2 mana, black-blue for a 2/2. Pay 2 life. Copy an activated or triggered ability you control from an artifact source. Choose new targets for the copy. Activate only during your turn and only once each turn. Devin, please read the reminder text. Mana abilities cannot be targeted. I think during previous season I was like, oh, what you do is you copy your Thran Dynamo. You can't do that. Apparently, mana abilities cannot be targeted at all. At all. It used to be. You see, I've been playing Magic for 30 years. I'm old. I'm used to a world where it says, unless it's a mana ability somewhere on the card. I'm used to a world where it specifically says this thing copies abilities unless they're mana abilities. Apparently, they don't do that anymore. They just apparently just mana abilities can't be targeted. You just can't do it. Don't do it. Stop it. So this guy's worse than I thought while still being kind of okay. I'll give him a 5.1 for Commander. Secret Invasion is 3 mana, 1 double blue for an aura. Enchant a creature you control. When this aura enters, exile up to 1 target creature other than enchanted creature until this aura leaves the battlefield. Enchanted creature becomes a copy of that creature again until the aura leaves the battlefield. And the creature you throw this on has Ward 2. This is awesome. It's like really cool, like removal. I think it's sick. Rocks on, rocks off. Somebody said, if that's how you get your rocks off. That is that. Then Jason said that was the comment of the night so far. It is pretty good. Rocks on, rocks off. So, are we too old now to get a Karate Kid reference? Are you kids too old to understand it? One way or the other. Secret Invasion, I like it too much, so I'm going to give it a 4.7. It's probably not worth that, but I really like this card. Serpent Specialist is a single green mana for a 1/1 Death Touch. That makes it good. Power up for 4 mana. It gets 2+1/+1 counters. 3.5. Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, is 2 mana in green for a 2/2. You can activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. Non-symmetrical concordant crossroads. Okay. Tap to add 2 mana of any color that can only be spent to activate abilities of creatures. So, slick guy that's probably even better than he looks, and he looks pretty good. So I'm going to give this guy a 7. I think this guy's at least a 7. That's my starting bid. Yeah. Oh, Ren Matthew, best card of the night. He's good. he's hella good, dude. I'll even say 5.3. 7.3 on Shang-Chi. I do think that 7 is lowish for what this can actually do for you in the right situation. Cool guy. She-Hulk, Jade Defender, 4 mana for a 4/4 Reach Trample. That's a good start right there. Power up for 6 mana to destroy an artifact or enchantment, and she gets a +1/+1 counter. Pretty normal, but still a 3.6. Decent card. Shield Deployment Drone is 3 mana in blue for a 2/2 robot with flying. When it enters, you get a 1/1 soldier. Just decent Windrake variant here. I'll give it a 3.6. Shield Flying Car is 3 mana, 2 and a blue for a 3/3 vehicle with flash flying and crew 1. When it enters, exile a guy you control. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control, beginning of the next end step. So that is a somewhat playable card. I really think that we were, sorry for the big smack there. I didn't expect to make that noise. I think we're getting really close to some tricks here, especially with the flash. The crew is super duper low too, so I'm going to give this a sneaky 5.7. I think this might have some standard work to do. Maybe not, might not look like the most exciting thing in the world, but there are standard decks it goes in. I can promise you that. Shield Helicarrier is 4 mana for a 4/5 vehicle with flying. When it enters, create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens with crew 6. So see how you're supposed to shield flying car both of the things that are on either side of it to get more tokens? That's cute, but can you crew and then flash the creature that crewed? Yeah. There's no reason you couldn't do that. Like while the enters ability is on the stack, you can absolutely crew it with the creature you're going to blink. Yeah. You can do that. Did I actually score this last card? Helicarrier is a 3 point... Crew 6? That's a 3. Let's give that a 2.8 actually, sure. Shield Spy Cat is a... cat? Shield Spy Cat. It's a very different card. Shield Spy Kid is a white mana for an equipment that equips for 1. The equipped creature gets +1/+1, and whenever it attacks alone, untap it and scry 1. Neat benefit for attacking alone, but just not a great card, ultimately. A 3. Shuri, Wakandan Inventor, is 2 mana in blue for a 2/1. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. You can pay 1, tap her down to have an artifact you control become a copy of another artifact you control till end of turn, except it's not legendary. Activate sorcery speed only. So tricksy stuff you can do in Commander, and the artifact reduction line of text is very nice too. So I'm just going to slap a 5 on this and keep pushing. I think it's a pretty decent Magic card. Speedball, new warrior, cat in the art, 3 mana, 2, and then it is a hybrid for a 2/2. Whenever a player casts a spell that targets Speedball, he gets +2/+2 till end of turn. You may choose new targets for the copy. It's the bouncy kind of Speedball. All right, I know some people are having flashbacks to their younger days or their current days, depends on who you are, but it's not that kind of Speedball. It's It's the kind you have fun with. And I know that doesn't really clear it up for everybody, but it's the one you bounce around when you were a kid. This is okay. I think this is kind of good. Seriously, pseudo hexproof, super hexproof even. Not good enough to play in standard very likely, but still, I like this guy enough to give him a 4.4. I like that ability, dude. Speed Young Avenger. See you later, Jason. I'll see you. Speed Young Avenger is 2 mana in red for a 2/2 with haste. Whenever you cast a non-creature, pay 1. When you do, a creature with haste can't be blocked this turn, except by creatures with haste. So you're just ginger brooding your creatures as you cast non-creatures, which is pretty attractive in Commander. It honestly is. It might even be like worth it in Standard, depending, but doubtful, but still cool, man. I'll give this a 5.2, and I'm serious. This is really, really neat. Spider-Man to the rescue. 3 mana, 2 and Selesnya for a 3/2 flash vigilance reach. With no one dies. When he enters, you can tap him down. When you do, another target non-attacking creature you control gets indestructible till EOT. I want to like this so much because of the flash, right? Saves a guy, but it only saves a guy in very specific situations. You know, the creature you're saving can't be attacking, right? And not only that, but you can't say flash in Spider-Man, give one of your guys indestructible to block, then block with that guy and the Spider-Man, because Spider-Man taps down when he ETBs. So to get the full effect, you can't pull off a fun blocking trick. The indestructible has to be on a guy that's not dying in combat or dying while attacking at the very least. So again, like more restrictions than it looks like when you really read it over, but still fine. Still fine. 4.1. It's okay. Spider-Woman's Secret Agent is 4 mana, 3 and an Azorius hybrid for a 1/4 flash. When she enters, tap in a creature an opponent controls. That creature can't become untapped for as long as you control Spider-Woman. 4 mana is why? You know, it should be 3 mana. It would have been still a little bit too much at 3 to see standard play, even with the flash. I think people just play Flood Pit's Drowner. You're not going to cast a Flood Pit's Drowner effect for twice as much as a Drowner, right? But it's still a good text box. The flash is still decent. I just don't think you'll ever actually play the card in standard. Limited though, fine, sure, whatever. It's a hero, you know what I mean? It'll count towards your hero count. While also being pseudo removal, sure. Can tap a creature down and still block forever with the big booty. So, you know, better than it looks, but still not great. I'll give it a 3.7. Next is Stark Industries, Life Gain Land, 4.5. Stark Industries Executive is a 1-drop in red. That's a 1/2, and you pay 2, tap it, make a treasure token. Trappish, I think, but I'm still going to give it a 3.6. I like a thing that can make a treasure token. Stature, Size Shifter, a single blue mana for a 1/1 that cannot be blocked if she has power 1 or less. Yeah, and she powers up for double blue and X. You put X +1/+1 counters on her. So the way that timing works, obviously, is that you get in unblocked, checks for blocks, no blocks, blocking stage over, power her up, and put like 1,000,000 counters on her. Adorable. And for what it's worth, I just like 1 mana guys that can't be blocked. I think those are often playable unlimited. Maybe even in standard if you can protect her and stuff and put other stuff on her, Voltron style. So I don't know. I like the cut of her hair. I'm going to give her a 4.4. I like her. Stolen Stark Tech is just 2 mana for a flash equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 and equips for 1. But when it enters, attach it to a guy you control, and that creature gains indestructible. So maybe this is the thing I thought it was. You know, earlier I was thinking that blue equipment was a savior guy equipment. This is the savior guy equipment. It's in mono black. There's a lot of mono black equipment stuff in this set, so I guess that makes sense. Altogether, just kind of okay, though. 3.5. Storm Windrider, awesome. This is 1 green, double white. So, Selesnya Storm for a 4/4 flyer. Creatures with flying can attack you or block creatures you control. Whenever you cast a spell that targets 1 or more creatures, those creatures gain flying until end of turn. Combine it with Moat and Commander. Nothing can attack you. Let's go. In any case, man, this is a really cool couple of lines of text, dude. Especially the second line of text. Whenever you cast a spell that targets one of, say, your creatures, fly over till end of turn. Whenever you cast a spell that targets one of their creatures, they can't attack you this turn. That's adorable, dude. So this could be a nice, like, Turbo Fog Commander in green-white. Those are the Turbo Fog colors anyway, for the most part. So really fun Turbo Fog Commander here. That also makes it to where, like, you know, you could play pump spells or something like that on your own guys. You could play auras on your own guys and give them flying till end of turn. And that's another cool way to play this card. So love it. I think it could be like not only the Turbo Fog Commander, but kind of like Voltron-y in a way. You know, you play another big creature, give that flying every now and again. Just very cute, very cool commander that I'm going to rank highly here. 6.5 for Storm. I don't know if it's standard playable or anything, but very cool card. Subterranean Cavern gains life when it comes into play. That's 4.5. Super Adaptoid is 2 mana for a star 2 robot villain. Artifact creature. Super Adaptoid's power equal to the number of legendaries you control, including himself. And whenever he enters or attacks, choose another target creature. If that creature has haste and Adaptoid doesn't, put a haste counter on Adaptoid. Do the same for flying. First strike, double strike, death touch, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, trample, and vigilance. So, cool. This might actually be finally like a good version of a Cairn Wanderer or something. I love Cairn Wanderer. Low-key, one of my favorite creatures of all time. And they printed a bunch of creatures like him that just like pick up abilities from other stuff. They're hardly playable. This is 2 mana and any deck can play it. Works really well with like Katramos and Standard, and there's a lot of stuff that this can pick up abilities from. So I really want to like this. I really want to say this is a good Magic card, but that's tough. That's honestly kind of tough. I'm going to give this a 5.5 and keep pushing, but I want it to be higher. Super Intelligence, sick uncommon here. A single blue mana for an R that enchants a creature at the beginning of the upkeep of that creature's controller. The player draws a card. So extra card every turn guaranteed. Not as good as Curiosity because there's too many Curiosity setups in Commander where you draw like 7 cards all at one time, you know. This doesn't ever do that, but I will say a single blue mana in Voltron decks for an extra card every turn is playable in Commander, and dare I say Standard if you have the slots for it. So dare I say, I'm going to give this card a 6.1. I think Super Intelligence is really good. Super Scroll, 3 mana, 4 mana, 3 of it black for a 4/5 flyer. You can pay 3 mana, 1 of it white to get a 0/4 wall. You can pay 4 mana, 1 of it green to give Scroll +4/+4 till end of turn. 5 mana, 1 of it red to deal 4 damage to a creature. Or 6 mana, 1 of it blue to have a player draw 4 cards. So I'm assuming that's because he's a Fantastic Four villain. That he just does all the stuff that the Fantastic Four does. I don't know this guy. He looks awesome. I've heard of him. But I guess that's the lore here. You have a 5-color commander. That's kind of neat. You have kind of a Kenrith variant. I think Kenrith is probably just better, you know, for the most part. But still cool. I'll give him a baseline 6 because, you know, 5-color Kenrith. That's Kenrith variant. That's always fun. The top-tier commander. Could be. Super Soldier Serum. Gross, 2 mana, 1 and a white for an R that enchants a creature. That creature gets +2/+2, has first strike and vigilance, and is legendary soldier now. Whenever an enchanted creature attacks or blocks, attach any number of equipment you control to it. Cool. I guess that's cool, you know? That's more than fine. It reminds me of, oh God, a Coronet. You know, the Daybreak Coronet. Only you don't have to jump through hoops or play a bunch of turns or do other stuff or enchant the creature first or whatever. Just 2 mana for +2/+2, 2 incredible keyword abilities, and extra gravy. You know, attaching any number of stuff to it could be great, depending on what equipments you have out. So, very solid card altogether here. I'm going to give this a 5.5. I'm serious. As far as auras go, I think this is quite good. The Super Speed is a single red mana for a flash aura that enchants a creature. When it enters, enchanted creature gains first strike till end of turn. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and has haste. So we've seen this as a combat trick a lot, +1/+0 and first strike for 1 mana. We don't often see it on an aura, triggers enchantress stuff, but also just grants haste to the creature. That's also really good gravy. So cool card, but I'm not going to give it more than a 3.1 here. I don't think it's that great. You know, Super Strength is 5 mana, 4 and a green for an R that enchants a creature. The creature gets +4/+4 and has trample and ward 1. A little bit too expensive, but neat. You put on anything in limited and it's a 4 suddenly. So I'll give this card a 2.8 though. Super Suit, 2 mana, 1 and a blue for an equipment with flash. It equips for 2, but when it enters, you get to attach it to a guy. Untap the guy, and the creature gets +1/+2. All that for +1/+2. Could save a dude in combat or from a bolt or something, but altogether, don't really know why it has flash. I guess because like you can put it on really quick if you're Superman, which is DC, but none of it matters. I'm going to give this a 2.5. I'm not impressed. Super Villain Lockup costs 2 mana in white for a flash enchantment. When it enters, exile a tapped creature an opponent controls until Super Villain Lockup leaves the battlefield. Pretty decent in limited, little aura, you know, an enchantment that blows stuff up. Banishing Light with flash for 1 mana less, but has to target a tapped creature. 3.6. Surveillance Room is Conduit Pylons. This is a functional reprint of Conduit Pylons. We give Conduit Pylons a 4.4. Swamp is a swamp. That's a 5. That's a good-looking swamp, too, actually. Kind of like it. Swordsman Sharp Scoundrel. He looks so cool to me. 2 mana, 1 and a black for a 2/2. Whenever another villain you control enters, attach up to 1 equipment you control to any guy you control. Whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, it gets to connive. Not one or more, connive one of them or whatever. Just any equipped creature you control attacks, connive, baby. This is a pretty good package for 2 mana. It just kind of is. You mean I get to free equipped villains? That's awesome. It's not too bad. If I play the second swordsman, by the way, then the first swordsman ability triggers before the legend rule happens. So I get to just equip for free to a swordsman, which you're not supposed to be able to do, but you can if you do it that way. Being able to get further into your deck, fuel graveyard strategies at the same time, if that's what you want to do, grow your dudes, just altogether for 2 mana, good package. 5. I'm throwing a 5 on this guy. I think it's pretty good. Take up the shield, 2 mana in white for an instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. It gains lifelink and indestructible until end of turn. So Snakeskin Veil with lifelink that costs double the mana. It's all right, I guess. I'm going to give this card a 4. Taskmaster Mercenary Mimic is 4 mana in Dimir for a 3/5. Photographic Reflexes. At the beginning of your first main phase until your next turn, Taskmaster becomes a copy of up to 1 target creature on the battlefield or creature card in a graveyard, except he keeps his name and he's a legendary guy. So you can copy a legendary and it's fine because he keeps his name. Cool, but honestly normal in terms of these Mimic cards in Dimir. Not like we've never seen anything like this before, so I give him a 4.7. Team Tactics is awesome. 2 mana, 1 and a red for an instant with Teamwork 1. Target creature gains double strike till end of turn, but if you teamworked, creature also gains trample until end of turn. I might surprise you. 6.3 on this card. Could go higher. Could actually go higher. Ooh, a Magneto card. When Magneto enters, attach all artifacts to him. Not just equipments. Attach all artifacts to Magneto is cute. But yeah, I think this is honestly one of the best red cards in the set for standard playability. Not hard to teamwork it. A single point, 1 point of teamwork. Have a dude on the table besides the one you want to target. But double strike and trample we've seen over and over is a really disgusting combination of abilities. And I think that even if you can't teamwork it, double strike's fine a lot of the time anyway. So just a great card, I think. Totally serious 6.3. 100%. I think this is a very playable card in standard. Thanos, the Mad Titan, is Mardu, kind of. He's really Wooburg, but Mardu to get on the table for a 4/4 Death Touch. Lifelink with Power Up, Colorless, and Wooburg, so 6 mana. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on Thanos. Choose odd or even. Destroy each other creature, mana value of the chosen quality. When I reviewed this for previews, people, I said that you can do this every turn, and people were like, well, you gotta blink it, and it's like, yeah, that's implied. It's implied that you're blinking him or bouncing him or whatever if you want to do it every turn. But in any case, card is really neat as a Wooburg commander. Probably the best and most powerful Wooburg commander in a set with 3 at least Wooburg commanders in the main set alone. So that should tell you something. Pretty strong dude. I'm gonna give him a 6.6. Just because he's a good commander. But in standard, you get yourself a 3 mana 4/4 Death Touch lifelink. Can we Death Touch on that for a sec? That's pretty good, right? Just stats are okay on the guy. Astonishing Ant-Man is an awesome dude, man. This guy's so great. 2 mana, that's all it takes. A green and a blue for a 1/1. Whenever you draw a card, he gets a +1/+1 counter. Good start. Excellent start. But you can also pay 2 and a green, tap and remove any number of his +1/+1 counters at instant speed to create that many 1/1 green insect creature tokens. So draw a card, cast Brainstorm, draw another card somehow, put like 1,000,000 counters on, pay some mana, and get like 7 insects. So this guy gets big quickly, which is pretty good for your 2 mana investment, period. But, he can split and go wide rather than tall. That's good. If you have other Anthem effects, awesome. But, like, if he's about to die and you have the open mana, just, pay the mana, tap him down, get a bunch of guys. Just really cool dude here. I don't know if he's quite got the, gumption for standard or anything, but he's kind of close. And in Commander, I want to build a deck around him, like, so bad, dude. Like, Simic, draw a million cards, make a bunch of insects. It's awesome. So I'm going to give this guy, like, a 6.7 or something. Like, I'm serious. I'm so serial, dude. This is one of my favorite cards in the set, and I think he's kind of strong, too. Coming of Galactus is 5 mana, 2 double black and a green for a saga. Chapter 1, destroy a non-land. Okay. Chapters 2 and 3, each opponent loses 2 life. And on Chapter 4, you get Galactus, a 16/16 with flying, trample, and whenever it attacks, destroy target land. I think this is a phenomenal card. C. Bolinder, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you very much. Really, thank you a lot. Getting deep into the stream now. We're almost there. But once we get past T's, I always feel like, okay, we're getting there, guys. But anyway, yeah, I think this might be standard playable at only 5 mana in some sort of Golgari mid-range pile. We already have one with like Delic Fell and stuff. 5 mana might be too much to ask, or it might not be. It really might not be. I think that this is doable. Destroy anything when it comes into play. Plenty of ways to reanimate it. Plenty of ways to blink it in standard right now. Some ways to copy it for that matter. So keep that in mind. But blow up something is always good. A little bit of reach. You get 2 turns worth of each opponent losing 2 life. If they're at 4, they lose the game. If you have multiple copies of Coming of Galactus, you can deal 8, 12 damage to them just with Coming of Galactuses. And of course, if this stays out, you get 16. 16 I got to deal with now. Not too bad. I'd like to play a Golgari deck that just looks to basically play the Coming of Galactus like 8 times in one game. I could do that. Just a bunch of removal and stuff like that. Card draw. Play this card as many times as you can. Eventually kill him with it. I think this card is actually really good. 7? Seriously? 7 for Coming of Galactus? You can tell me it costs too much, but we're still trying it. Kingpin of Crime is 3 mana, 1 and Orzhov for a 1/5 with Extort in standard. Whenever you attack, you may pay 2 life. If you do, till EOT, creatures you control with toughness greater than their power assign toughness damage equal to their toughness rather than their power. You know how this works. I just like that he has Extort in standard. You don't really see that too much, you know what I mean? But I can't objectively score this guy more than like a 4.1 or 2. Cool commander though, I'll give him that. But we've seen enough of these that do that. At this point, he's more of like a 99 in an Abzan deck that does that than actually being like an Orzhov commander that cares about toughness. But he does have Extort. I love Extort. It's like one of my favorite abilities ever. Masters of Evil is 6 mana in black for a 5/6. Other villains you control get +2/+1. Pay 2 mana, discard the card, search your library for a plan, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle. Cool card all around. Cost too much. It's a limited specialist, but it's pretty good there. Again, signposty in that format for your villains decks. If you did find like a good rare plan, this can help you go get it. So I like it at pre-release. I will give this a 3.9. The Mighty Thor Jane Foster is 3 mana in Azorius for a 3/3 flyer. Whenever she attacks, exile up to 1 target non-token artifact or creature. Return that card to the battlefield tapped under owner's control. Whenever an equipment you control enters, draw a card. So you can blink one of their guys and it comes back tapped, so it can't block. Blink one of your equipment that comes back in and attaches itself to something because that's what the equipment does, and you draw the card. Pretty cool. You can attack with Mighty Thor and something else that just has an attacks trigger. We know whenever this creature attacks, do a thing. But then you can use Thor to pull it out of combat. So you don't have to worry about losing it. A lot of cool stuff with Mighty Thor, but end of the day, I'm just going to give it like a 5.9. I think it's good. Is it great? It remains to be seen. Mind Stone, good card. 2 mana for an indestructible rock. Taps to add a white. Pay 6 to harness it. Once it's harnessed at the beginning of your end step, teleportation circle. Exile a non-land permanent you control. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Very good card. I'm going to give it an 8.2. That's what I'll do. And then look at the Ruinous Wrecking Crew. This is X black red for a 2/2. More bars that enters with X +1/+1 counters on it, dude. When the Ruinous Wrecking Crew enters, choose up to X. Bruh. Discard a card, then draw a card. Target opponent loses 2 life. Destroy target token. Each player sacks a token of their choice, or creature of their choice. When I first read this in previous season, it didn't make it to camera. But when I first read this, I thought that you could choose each mode as many times as you wanted on this. And I was very excited, like ready for this to be the best or at least my favorite card in the set. But no, nah, you can only choose each mode once. So X should really only equal 4 on this. That said, if X does equal 4, you get a 6/6 that does all this stuff. That's still not bad. You might get a 4/4 that does 2 of these things. That's also not bad, but I'm also not sure if the card is ever truly good. So I'm just going to slap like a 4.75 on this. We're getting there, but The Scarlet Witch is 3 mana, 2 and a red for a 2/3. Instants and sorceries you cast with mana value 4 or greater cost X less to cast. X being Scarlet Witch's power. This card's good. this card's good. You know, big scores cost me 2 mana now, but obviously if she has higher power, they cost even less to cast. That is incredible cost reduction for instants and sorceries specifically. So I don't know. I think it could actually see play in Commander specifically. So 5.7, like I'm so serious. 5.7. This is really, really effective cost reduction in Commander. The Sentry Golden Guardian is 4 mana in white for a 5/5 flying vigilance indestructible. When it enters, target opponent creates the Void, a legendary 5/5 black horror villain creature token with flying indestructible that attacks each combat if able. I've seen a couple people in my comments confused about this. You have to give your opponent the 5/5 token. So the card kind of sucks. Now, you can bounce the token. That's easy. For like 1 mana, you bounce the token. You can exile the token. You can flicker the token. You blink the token, it's gone forever. So lots of ways to deal with it, but I still don't think that makes this card great. This is one I really want to be wrong about, you know, but I don't think that I am necessarily. I'm going to give this card a 4.4. Next is the Serpent Society, maybe my personal favorite card in the entire set. 3 mana, 1 black green for a 3/4 Death Touch ward, 5 poison counters. Whew, whenever another creature you control with Death Touch dies, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature of their choice. My God, that's so insane. This is the Commander card, like the Commander I want to build a deck around. So gets a lot of points in that format. But in Standard, man, Finn the Fangbearer, you know, that card's in Standard right now. It's in Foundations. And there's a lot of good Death Touch guys. There's so many good Death Touch guys in the Standard. That like, I want to do it. I want to do it, man. Play Tiny Bones in the 1-drop slot and a bunch of other cards. Dragon Sniper has like 4 abilities. One of them's Death Touch. This could work. Like this guy, seriously, this could work. This card is so crazy. And like the situation where your opponent tries to kill this and you just, you know, Snakeskin Veil or something. Now, if they want to target it to kill it, they just die. They just automatically die. That's just so great. If they kill any of your Death Touch dudes, they have to come down on board presence. Are you serious, dude? That's such a crazy card, man. So I love it so much. Seal of approval, 10, all that. Honorary 10. But I am going to give the card a 7.2. Like, legitimately, I will give this card a 7.2. I really think it's close. Superhero Civil War is 5 mana, 3 red, white. On Chapter 1 of this saga, gain control of up to 2 target creatures, total mana value 6 or less, as long as this thing's on the field. Chapter 2, creatures you control get +1/+1, gain vigilance till EOT. And on Chapter 3, a creature you control fights up to 1 other target creature, and that happens before you have to give the guy back, or the guys. You can still 1 huge guy, or 2 smaller guys, or like a 4-drop and a 2-drop. That's good some of the time too. I think this saga is much, much better than it looks, without being incredible. If you're playing it in Standard, it's probably a sideboard card. There's probably way better stuff to play in Commander than this. So this is probably a rare, mostly because it's insane and limited. This wins so many games of Limited by itself. I can nearly promise you that. But I do think there's a lot more places in Standard this is better than it looks. So I'm going to give the card a 4.3. I think we're close. The 10 Rings is 8 freaking mana for a legendary artifact. Your maximum hand size is 10. At the beginning of your end step, if you have fewer than 10 cards in hand, why don't you draw cards equal to the difference? So usually draw at least 3 cards every turn, if not way, 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 way more. This is the kind of huge artifact I want to see. Talked about that 5 mana artifact later. We're like, you got to attack and you got to have big guys. And like, maybe you still whiff. You know, it's like that thing looks awful. This, on the other hand, if you're going to make a big, stupid artifact that costs a lot of mana, go all the way. Let me respect you for it a little bit. And this one, I think, does that. So I'm going to give the 10 Rings a 6.2 here. I think it does cost too much mana for most decks to play. But, geez, Some decks will literally draw 10 cards a turn off of this. Next is the Thing Ben Grimm, 6 mana in green for 7/7 trample. Whenever one or more heroes you control deal damage to a player, put 2 +1/+1 counters on the Thing. So it gets huge. It's so huge quickly. Like, this is yet another. Count them now. Another Colossal Dreadmaw, but better. Right? It's, it's not strictly because it's legendary, but still easier to cast. One less green pip. One more power and toughness, right? An extra ability that makes it even larger. Like, they're all... Everything is a Phyrexian Dreadmaw. It's kind of weird, right? But that means I have to give it like a 3.7. The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl is awesome. 4 mana, 1 and 3 green for a 4/4. Do you like squirrels? Whenever the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl attacks, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. I love squirrels. Pay her casting cost again to create X 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens, X being the number of squirrels you control. A Krinko you pay mana for instead of tapping is dangerous because obviously in green, where you're likely to have 8 mana, you can do the ability twice in the same turn. And the more you do the ability, the better it gets. It's exponential. You might even say it's nuts. I know that's a corny joke. A-corny joke. Okay, so I know that these are terrible, but this card is good. A 4 mana 4/4 that puts, or 4 mana that puts, 5 power and toughness on the table on 2 bodies. If you untap with her, things start to get very ugly. And this is in standard, man. This is in standard. Card's nasty. There's a couple of infinite mana combos with different creatures in standard that tap for mana equal to their power. Well, we have some infinites with those. This is a way to sink, right? And win the game by making a bunch of stuff in those decks. So that's kind of cute. But ultimately, yeah, I think this is seriously for Commander, one of the best cards in the set. And for standard, like almost reasonable. Like it's one of those things, if it stays on the table, you just win the game. I'm going to give this card a 7.5. This card's good, dude. The Vision is 4 mana. Yeah, how many infinites were there? So many. So many. The Vision is 4 mana for a 2/5 flying vigilant. Whenever you cast a non-creature, choose one of these as long as you haven't chosen it yet this turn. Solar Beam. The Vision gains double strike till EOT. Density Control. The Vision gains indestructible until end of turn. Or Technopathy to draw a card. This card's good. This card's really good. It kind of reminds me of a Morphling that you have to enable. Morphling, you just pay mana for to protect it. It's right there on the card. But with this, if you do have stuff in your hand, you can A, get more stuff in your hand to further enable it with the draw a card ability. Technopathy is just good. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, draw a card is just a good ability, even if it only happens once a turn. But indestructible to protect it is also crazy. That's so crazy. So I like this card, and I kind of mean in standard, depending. Seriously, I think the card's fine. So I'm going to give this a 6. And I kind of want to go higher, but I'm not. I am not Creed. I cannot take you higher. So a couple of good cards on screen to start off one of the hopefully last pages here. Wondrous Wasp is 2 mana, 1 in a blue for a 2/1 flash flyer with Wasp Sting. When the Wondrous Wasp enters, tap a creature that loses all abilities for as long as Wasp remains on the battlefield. Good card. Good card. 7.4. Seriously, just a pretty fantastic Magic card here. Wish I had more to say about it, but we're speed running. Ultimately, you want to try to tell me this card's not good? It's very good. Thirst for Knowledge is Thirst for Knowledge. We've seen it a bunch of times before. 3.9. Thor, God of Thunder is 5 mana, 3 in double red for a 5/5 flyer. When it enters, exile an equipment or an instant or a sorcery from your yard. Till end of next turn, you may play that card. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, like the one you removed from your yard when this came into play, Thor deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target. Let me read that again. Whenever you cast a non-creature at all, any non-creature, Thor deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target. What a juiced commander, dude. What an insane... they said they were going to try to make mono red commander a little more attractive, a little more something you want to do, and ooh, like this is good in the 99 of literally every red commander deck. But it's also nuts as the commander. Like, good God, this is an insane card. Yeah, the 7 mana red paradigm spell. Not only do you hit for that spell's mana value if Thor's in play, but every turn after that you'll hit for at least like 4 in mana value. It's pretty good. Pretty good. But in the command zone, in the big chair, this guy's sitting high, dude. This is the reason you give this guy the chair. Thor's crazy. He's like literally one of my favorite cards in the set. I'm going to have to proxy him. Pretty sure he's 20 bucks and will remain there forever. Very cool looking card here, but I'm going to give him like a 7.5, and that is just mostly commander, but I think that he's earned every point of that. What a fun looking dude. Thor Odinson wins games in limited, I'll say that much. 5 mana in Boros for 4/4 flying. Vigilance, prowess. So a Sarah Angel with double prowess. Gross. I'm going to actually give this like a 4. Just it's only because of limited. This wins games, dude. Thunderbolt's Conspiracy is 4 mana in black for an enchantment with flash. Whenever a villain you control dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a finality counter. That creature is a hero now. So, I've seen enough Nightmare Shepherd variants to be like, even with the flash, protects all your guys from a sweeper is the idea here, but these never work as good as you want them to. They just don't. So I'm going to give this a 4.4 and keep pushing. Tigra, Feline Fury goes in the cat cube. 2 mana in green for a 2/1 flash trample. Whenever you gain life, +1/+1 counter. Awesome. Awesome Primate variant, 5.4. You can't stop me. Primate variants like this are going to get a high score from me. Titania, Rugged Rumbler is 3 mana in Golgari for a 5/5. As an additional cost to cast it, discard a card or pay 2. Ward, discard a card or pay 2. Very, very cute, but I think we're a long way from Lovestruck Beast being a good card. You guys remember Lovestruck Beast? We're done. We're done. That's not the world anymore. I'm going to give this a 3.6. Tony Stark is 2 mana, 1 in the blue for a 1/3. You pay 1 tap and to look at the top 4 of your library, put an artifact into your hand. The rest go on bottom in a rando order, or pay 6 mana to transform at sorcery speed, or just pay 6 mana and play Iron Man out of your hand. This is a 5/5 flying haste. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put an artifact card from your hand onto the field. If it's equipment, you can just throw it on Invincible Iron Man. Cool. But only cool. I just find this card kind of cool. I don't know if it's actually that powerful. I really don't, guys. A 6 mana 5/5 flying haste that just throws an artifact on the table is probably the best part, right? If you can just throw this down at the end of the, not at the end of the opponent's turn, but like right before your first combat step. Opponent never sees it coming. Like it's Persona 5. You just throw down like an 8-drop artifact, 10 rings or something. Yeah, that's fun. That's not reality in Magic, sadly, in Standard, so I don't think it's going to happen. I will give this a 4.9. I really want to score it higher than that, but I'm not going to. Too Evil to Stay Dead is 3 mana. It's better than that, Dev. 5.2. Too Evil to Stay Dead is 3 mana, 2 and a black for a sorcery with teamwork 4. Choose target creature card in your yard, mana value 4 or less. If the spell was cast using teamwork, instead just choose whatever creature you want in your yard. Return the creature you chose to the battlefield. So this dryly returns Bizas and Aboran Oculuses and all kinds of fun stuff for just 3 mana. It could be good enough, but obviously teamwork 4. We got Sunset Saboteur. We got a couple of other Hazaret. Like we got a couple of 2-drop creatures that can teamwork for this on turn 3, but you've had to have discarded the Valgavoth or whatever on turn 1. It's kind of hard to make it work, but still, if you can make it work, it's a really fast way to zombify something, so it could be really good. I'm going to give this a 4.6. I think it's all right. Training Compound over here is the good green red land. It's the good one. It's an 8.5. Training Regiment is 4 mana in green for an enchantment. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have trample. At the beginning of combat on your turn, a creature you control gets a counter. So cute, a little bit too expensive, but I'm still going to give it a 3.7. A 3.85, actually. Trickster's Stratagem is 4 mana, 3 and a blue for a sorcery. The owner of a creature an opponent controls puts it on into their library, second from the top or on the bottom. Then up to 1 target creature you control connives. So sorcery, speed, time, ebb ability for too much mana, 2.9. Truck Toss, 4 mana, 2 and 2 red for an instant that costs 2 less to cast. If you got a vehicle, Truck Toss deals 4 damage to any target. I actually really like it. I do. I like it in like burn decks and stuff. 2 mana for 4 to any target is crazy. I want to try to play the card. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4.7. Ultron is 3 mana for a 2/4 robot villain. Whenever another non-token artifact you control enters, you may pay 2. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it. If the token's not a creature, it becomes a 2/2 robot villain. It just do its other types, blah, blah, blah. So this costs mana. This ability costs mana, making the card bad. Sorry. That's kind of how I don't make the rules, but that's sort of. I'm going to give this a 5.2 though, because it's not bad. It's just kind of bad. It's not as good as you want it to be. I've seen people rate this card closer to like they didn't say the number, but I've seen some people be like, dude, this card's like an 8. Come on. This card's so good. No, I don't. I think it's going to disappoint you. Ultron Drone is 3 mana for a 2/3 with power up 6 to put 2+1/+1 counters on it. Make a 2/2 normal magic card, 3.3. Undercover Scroll, awesome common. 2 mana, 1 and a green for a 1/1. It taps for a mana of any color, but as long as you got 2 guys in your yard, it gets +2/+2 and is all creature types. A 2 mana 3/3 that's all creature types and taps for any color. I call that a decent magic card. I really do. I'm going to give this like a 5. Serious, just dork if nothing else. Unliving Legionnaire is 4 mana in black for a 3/2 flyer. Power up for 7 freaking mana to return a creature card from your yard to your hand and put 2+1/+1 counters on this guy. How bad can a magic card get? I guess we found out. 2.3. U.S. Agent John Walker, 4 mana in Orzhov for a 3/2. When it enters, you get a colorless equipment named Sturdy Shield with equipped. This creature gets equipped creature gets +1/+2. And it equips to, and you attach it to U.S. Agent, and. So that's a lot of and without actually doing a whole hell of a lot. I'm going to give this card a 2.5 just for making me mad. It's probably more like a 3, but stop it. Vibranium Energy Daggers is a single mana for an equipment with indestructible. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, and it equips for 3. Extremely normal magic card, but it is another artifact like Nutrient Block that is indestructible for only 1 mana. You can do stuff with that. Time has shown us you can do stuff with that. I'm going to give this a 3.9. Villainous Hideout is a land that taps for whatever. Taps for a colorless or a mana of any color to cast villains or to activate abilities of villains. Oh, it's getting late in the night. You can pay 3, tap it, and a villain you control connives at sorcery speed. That's fine in villain decks. I'll give it a 5. Same as I did the Hero Land. Vision of Love is Demand Answers. It's just the card Demand Answers. I give that card a 4.5. That's a good card. Vision Quest is X red blue for a sorcery. Search your library and or graveyard for an artifact creature card. Mana value X or less. Put that thing on the battlefield. X additional +1/+1 counters on it. It's got to be an artifact creature. I don't know if I said that. If X is 4 or greater, the creature gains haste until end of turn. If you search, shuffle. This card's great. I don't care that it's sorcery speed. We've seen from Nature's Rhythm and a million other cards in Magic history that search your library for a thing, throw it onto the table, good. Tutor, table. Tutor plus table. Remember that, guys. Tutor plus table, nearly always good. So I'm going to give this card, and bear with me here. You're going to be like, Dev, but no, I'm serious. I'm going to give this card a 7.9. And I actually secretly think it's much, much better than that. But I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to stop at 7.9. I think this card is kind of very, very good. We'll see. Commander card, very likely. But it doesn't have to only be a commander card. We'll see. You know, Nature's Rhythm came out. Everyone's like, dude, this card sucks. This card's awesome. So just keep your eyes peeled for it. Visions of Villainy is 3 mana for an instant that costs 1 less to cast if you control a villain. Nice Whisper. If you control a villain, it's Nice Whisper. Draw 2 and lose 2. That's a pretty good magic card. 4.8. Seriously. Viv Vision Teen Synthezoid is 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer. It's also an artifact creature. Whenever Vision attacks, draw a card if her power is 4 or greater and power up for 7 mana. Put 2+1/+1 counters on Viv. So for 7 mana, she'll start drawing a card whenever she attacks. That's a card kind of sucks. I'm going to give it I guess any deck can play it. Yeah, it's a Windrake any deck can play. That's limited playable, right? 3.5. Because Windrake is like the baseline for a limited playable creature. But anyway, Volcanic Villain is 3 mana, 2 and a red for a 3/2 haste, power up for 6 mana to put 2+1/+1 counters on this guy. Pretty normal, 3.3. Wakandan Drone Flock is 4 mana in white for a 3/3 flyer. When it enters, scry 2. Extremely normal magic card. Phantom Monster with upside, I guess. That's fine. 3.3 again. Wakandan Royal Guard is 5 mana in green for a 4/4 vigilance. Whenever this creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. If that creature's another hero, put 2 +1/+1 counters. Are we in the normal card club right now? I'll give this a 3.3. Jeez. War Machine Legacy of Iron is 3 mana, 2, and then a Boros Hybrid for a 1/3 flyer. It's a robot. At the beginning of combat, well, it's not a robot, it's an artifact creature. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gets +X+0 till EOT, X being War Machine's power. I guess that's fine. 3.5. Web Up is 3 mana. This is Banishing Light. It's just Banishing Light. That gets a 3.5 as well. We Say Thee Nay is 2 mana, 1 and a blue. There's Doctor Strange. He's on a card now. Why didn't we get a Doctor Strange card in the main set? He's right there. Can he not be on a card? I love Doctor Strange. It's a Magic the Gathering set. You didn't put the literal wizard in. I'm so mad at you. 2 mana, 1 and a blue for an arcane instant with teamwork 2. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Counter that spell unless its controller pays 4 if you use teamwork. That's good. I think Doctor Strange will, in fact, get his own set. Either that or they'll do, like, magical Marvel guys, you know, like Marvel guys that are magic or something, and they'll be their own set. Could be, but anyway. This is pretty good. This is one of those counter it unless they pay 2 2-drop counterspell things. It just has extra gravy. Like, yeah, it's a fine card, turns out. So I'm going to actually give this a 4.3. I think it's fine. Whiplash, we're in the W's. Whiplash, Vengeful Engineer is a single black mana for a 2/2 that enters tapped. Whenever it attacks, if he's equipped, each opponent loses X life. You gain X. X is the number of equipment attached to him. I like this as a cute little commander. I like 1 mana commanders. I like that Mono Black has an equipment commander now. We're 2 or 3 in this set. But this one looks really attractive to me specifically. I'm going to give this a 4.9, and that is all cool commander tags. White Tiger, Ava Ayala is 2 mana, 1 and a green for a 2/2. Power up for 6 mana, put a +1/+1 counter on White Tiger, and create the Tiger God, a legendary 4/4 green cat god creature token with the Tiger God can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Are there enough words on the magic card? 6 mana to make a 4/4. Good lord. This is just okay. It's fine, limited. 3.4. White Widow, free agent. It's 4 mana in white for a 2/3. When it enters, choose 1. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. And or return target artifact or enchantment from your yard to your hand. Again, pretty normal, all things considered. But I will give it a 3.6 for the pseudo reanimation bit. Wiccan Rising Magician is too much mana, 5 of it. To be exact, in blue for a 4/4 flyer. Whenever you cast a non-creature, exile another target non-land, non-token permanent. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control, beginning of the next end step. Fun to build a budget commander deck around, but also kind of busted in limited. I'm pretty sure this wins games in limited because it's air elemental that's easier to cast, right? 5 mana, 4/4 flyer, just good. But now you get to take your opponent's stuff off the table whenever you cast non-creatures, so literally remove that guy and blink that guy for the turn so that can get in for combat damage. You can protect your dudes by casting any non-creature spell, like it kind of busted in limited. I really think this is top of the pops as far as limited uncommons go. I'm going to give it a 4.2. Widow's Bite is 2 mana in black for an instant with teamwork 3. Choose 1. If you teamwork, you get both, of course. Target creature gains death touch till end of turn. That is, you don't want to spend 2 mana on that. And or target creature gets -2/-2 till end of turn. That's a little bit better. That's much better, but still not great. I'll give it a 3.6. Winter Soldier, Icy Assassin is 2 mana in Orzhov. There's only one way you can achieve that. This is a 2/2 Vigilance Menace that gets +2/+0 for each equipment attached to it. You pay 5 mana, return it from your yard to the battlefield with a finality counter. Womp. Then you may attach any equipment to him. You may attach 1 equipment that you control to this guy. So decent, like, return from the graveyard ability, especially if you can kind of get mana value out of it. Equip something that costs like 7 to equip. That's neat. But ultimately, I'm not as excited about this dude as I am some of the mono black equipment guys in the set. You know what I mean? But I hate the finality counter, I gotta say. I will still give the guy a 4.5, though. I think he's a better equipments commander I'm giving him credit for. Oh my god, we're almost done. Wolverine Fierce Fighter is 4 mana, 2 red-green for a 3/5 haste. Whenever he enters, he fights a creature. If damage would be dealt to Wolverine, instead that damage is dealt, all other damage already dealt to him is healed. That line of text has never been on a Magic card, so I can't shorthand it in my mind and just read it by second nature. So if damage is dealt to Wolverine, deal that damage, but all the other damage he's been dealt this turn, heal it up. So really neat, given the way he works. He'll enter, fight a creature, kill it, and take some damage. And then since he has haste, he'll swing. If he gets blocked, he heals the damage he took during his first fight. That's really neat. I like that. I think this is damn near standard playable. Very close. 4 mana is more than I really want to spend, but you get a haste guy and you get a removal spell on a body. That's pretty good, especially on like turn 3. I think this is a more than serviceable creature. That can't be like double lightning strike. They can't like lightning strike, burst lightning, take him out, whatever. That's pretty decent, man. I think he's almost there. Like Tiana, you know, I'm almost there. He's 5.6 for standard specifically. Wonder Man, Hollywood Heroes. This guy over here. This is 5 mana, 3 double red for a 4/4 flyer. Each power-up ability of permanent you control can be activated an additional time. Power up for 7 mana to put 2+1/+1 counters and do literally nothing else. This is extremely parasitic to this one limited environment, but it is still a, air elemental with upside. And since this is the 3rd time I've said that, kind of makes me wonder if air elementals are as good. But yet another question. The same question as earlier. Is it an arms race with Colossal Dreadmaws? Is it an arms race with air elementals? Do you have to have them or you lose because everybody else has them? I don't know, but you know, 5 mana air elemental in red of all things is pretty good. And you, in this pre-release, will have other power-up guys. So playable 3.4. Worlds Within Worlds is 7 mana, 5 green-blue for a sorcery. Exile all creatures. Each player may put any number of creature cards from their hand onto the battlefield. Then put all cards exiled this way into their owner's hands. Exile Worlds Within Worlds. Awesome. Awesome. I think that this card is, I tend to lean on the phrase, better than it looks. Better than you think. I say it multiple times during each of these speed runs because, I'm covering 300 cards, excuse me. I say the same thing more than once, like 2 or 3 times. I'm sorry. A lot of ground to cover. That said, of all the cards that are potentially better than they look, I think this one is the cake getter, the cake taker baby. So 7 mana is so much. Let's all acknowledge it together, sure. But let's assume I don't even have creatures. Either that or they're all like mana dorks, okay? Let's say I'm Badger Moling. So I got Badger Mole and like 2 guys, like Llanowar Elves of some stripe. So exile my guys, okay? Exile my dudes after having tapped down to help cast this. Exile my dudes and everyone else's. Then, what if I throw down 2 enormous men? What if the dudes I throw down are huge and, I don't know, have haste? What if I throw down Raph and Mikey? Have you considered that? Have you considered what if I throw down Raph and Mikey with this after having just exiled all creatures on the table on my turn? Do you think Raph's getting in? Do you think they're getting in? Do you think that something else that they get off the top of my library is getting in? Do you think if I have any other haste creatures in my hand, they're also getting in scot-free, almost guaranteed no matter what? Yeah, I think they are. And on top of that, I think it might take my opponent more than 1 turn to rebuild. It just might. This card is kind of crazy. Sweaty Handshake, thanks for the raid. I appreciate that. Welcome all those with sweaty handshakes and sweaty hands in general. Your sweaty palms are welcome. Here, as we finish up the full set speed run, we're on Worlds Within Worlds, and I'm currently explaining why I think this card is actually Bananas, like Gwen Stefani warned us. Some things are, in fact, Bananas, and I think that this is in the realm of a card that might need to be spelled, right? I like this card more than I think almost anyone else on the internet. And I'm actually going to give this like 6.8 and you can just be mad at me. I've tried to be objective all night. I get 1, right? Marvel set. Did Spider-Man not teach us? Everybody gets 1. Give me this card. Optimator, thanks for your freaking 71 months. Jeez, 71. I've been doing this for 71 months. I'm an old man. World War Hulk is up next. And the penultimate card of the night. 5 mana in green for a saga. On chapter 1, the next red or green creature spell you cast this turn can be cast for free. Just whatever you want. On chapter 2, put 3+1/+1 counters on a guy you control. On chapter 3. Did I say chapter 3 already? No, I said put 3. Chapter 3. Choose target creature you control till EOT. Double its power and toughness. And trample it up. Pretty attractive looking saga, Like, again, though. I already said this about one card tonight. Why don't we just smuggle surprises? I think Smuggler Surprise is better. I did. And like maybe you ramp into this, throw down Raph and Mikey. How many times can I say Raph and Mikey in a 5-minute span? But obviously, I think that that's the card you want to throw down with this. Or like Calamity, maybe Calamity Tricks. But Raph and Mikey seems pretty crazy with this. You just throw it down on like turn 3 after Badger Molding. Get in. Here comes another guy. And then the next turn, it does more stuff. And the next turn, it does more stuff. It's crazy. This could be well better than Smuggler's Surprise. But time will tell. That said, I know I seem excited about it, but I'm actually I'm over cards like this. We see them in like every set. So I'm just going to give this like a 5.6 for now. Keep pushing. Yellow Jacket is the very last card. The last one. This is Yellow Jacket Heartless Marauder. 2 mana, 1 and a black for a 1/2. Legendary human rogue villain. With flying, whenever another villain you control enters, Jacket gets +1/+0, gains lifelink till end of turn. I guess that's fine, but it ain't great. Parasitic to villains, only truly good and limited. And maybe not even that good there because, you know, during your opponent's turn, it's just a piece of crap 1/2 flyer. Kind of a trap if you ask me. 3.1. We are done. Oh my goodness, that was the fastest one ever. We're at 3:09 on my timer right now. And remember, I had to, before I even really started the timer, I had to like talk about what the scoring system's like and blah, blah, do. I'm pretty sure we did this one in like 3:06, guys. That's the one. That's not parasitic if we're getting a villain set every year. That's true. Rin Matthews. It's true. Absolutely. Yeah, 3:46 on the stream timer, 3:09 on this timer. I'm going to give myself 3:06. I don't know why I'm going to I feel like it took 3 minutes to launch into it, but that's got to be the best one. That's for sure. That's the fastest one we've ever done, dude. Guaranteed. They're always like 4.5 hours, bro. So, and this one had like transform cards in it and stuff too. So, hell yeah. I knew we were blazing down the highway. We were blazing down the highway skyline on the back of a hurricane on that one. That started turning when you were young. I can't do it. I can't sing like the Killers guy. I can sing all right, but that guy's doing a whole other, he's on a level that I'm not on. But anyway, we hit the timer on the speed run, dude. We did it, baby. I can feel good about that one. That was fast. I was going to say Fashion the Flash, but I'm pretty sure he's DC. I don't know enough about all this. Anyway, guys. Whoo, if you're on Twitch, stick around for another like 30 seconds. But if you're not, yeah, let's do all the welcome deck cards. Whatever. Now it's time for all the Commander set cards, and this just turns out that this is I've just been in hell. Turns out I died and I'm in hell. By the end of it, I'm like, here's another Hawkeye card. You know what I mean? I love each and every one of you. If you're on Twitch, stick around for another 30 seconds to a minute so I can see you out, do all the Twitch things, bloop ba doop. But bloop ba doop. You know what I'm saying? And if you're watching on YouTube, do all the YouTube stuff. Make sure you click the like button. For the love of God, it's free. It's shaped like a thumb. You can't miss it. It helps me out tremendously. There's literally no excuse. If the video has 8,000 views, it should have 8,000 likes, damn it. Just I put so much work into it. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. That's also free. My God, we're trying to get to 150K, and you are actively holding us back. Nobody's watching this part because nobody got it this far in the video. But if you did watch this video in like 7 stages while you worked and did your dishes and drove home and stuff, why are you subscribed? For God's sake, get us to 200K. Hit the subscribe button, and then check out the Patreon. I am the hardest working man in show business. Harder working than James Brown. I promise you that. I am the hardest working man out there. I do stuff like this to myself for your entertainment. Is it worth $1? Is it worth $1? What did you spend today on lunch, for God's sakes? And it was garbage. It was chicken nuggets, wasn't it? You bought chicken tenders for lunch. Spend $1 on your boy once a month. For God, can you do it? Can you help me out? It would mean a lot to me. Anyway, patreon.com/SPMTG, twitch.tv/SPMTG, stuff. I'm nailing this outro, baby. Just YouTube people do all the things that I've come to want you to do. I don't expect you to do them. Surprise me. How about that? And I will catch you cats later. I'm Dev from the place. Thanks for watching, Wizards. Spread love and be kind out there.